Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Michael Malice, has there ever been a person in history that has more support than this fellow Brandon?
Let's go, Brandon!
It seems like that is the most popular person I've ever come across. Everyone is in support of this Brandon fellow.
There's this internet meme about, I think his name is Kyle, who drinks Monster Red Bull and puts his fist through drywall. Is that Kyle? Is that name Kyle? But Brandon,
I don't know about Kyle.
Kyle is a white kid who drinks a lot of Monster and puts his fist through drywall. Brandon is everywhere.
Well, I don't know this Kyle fellow though. Is this a popular meme? Here it is.
Yeah, there it is. Kyle, I was right.
Okay, so Kyle just punches shit?
When he drinks a lot of Monster.
It's so crazy how like something will become popular. You know, like that one guy, the large fella that's sitting on the edge of the bed with his giant cock hanging over the bed.
Yes.
That one picture of this fella and his big dick.
This is the most boomer conversation. You know how on the internet, Jamie, these pictures get names and the kids share them. And how do these pictures come from?
Where do they come from? How do these kids?
And why is it Tom Cruise laughing? I don't understand.
Is this coordinated?
It's a conspiracy.
Why do they keep showing Michael Jordan crying?
Or Michael Jackson eating popcorn? Why is it Michael Jackson?
It is amazing, like what memes get used and what don't get used. Like that one will just catch fire and just spread through the lines.
I'm trying to think of what my favorite meme is, and there's one that's not a meme; it's just a funny picture. But what do I use all the time? Like the one I use is it's not a meme; it's a GIF. When like people on Twitter ask me like a bunch of questions in a row in like one tweet, I just reply with the Riddler because it's all these question marks. But that's not that clever, particularly. What is the best meme? I'm blanking. I can't. I can't.
There's a lot of good ones. There's so many good ones. I mean, it's just the beauty of it is it's really a new form of comedy. You know, like internet meme comedy is a new form of comedy, and it's a brilliant form of comedy that some people are masters at. Really like a Dave Chappelle, they're masters like a comic is a master. They're masters at this weird new form that's only existed for like 15 years or so.
And the greatest thing is that establishment figures don't know what to do with this.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. I'm going to show you this new one. Hold on, Jamie, I'm going to send this to you. This is one of my new favorite memes because there's so many of them, but this one is like, this is my favorite of the time. Hold on. All right, send it to you, Jamie.
Let's see this.
This is my favorite of today. Of this.
Oh, it's the one with the drinking water, the engine coolant? Was that the one?
No, that's a good one too. But that I actually know the guy.
Oh yeah,
this is my
favorite. This has been around for a while. Oh,
Cover me harder, daddy.
Yeah. But that's the NPC meme, which I explained on this show a few times ago when I was on.
This is an NPC as well.
Yeah, they're gray and they have that.
Oh, that's what those things are. Okay,
yeah.
That's right. You did explain that. NPCs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-player character for the other boomers. Out there.
Yeah, for all the boomers who listen
I like
to the
how
show.
it's double masked too. Look at that. I saw someone today on Twitter that was ranting in this like vitriolic, just nasty rant about unvaccinated people causing the death of Colin Powell.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, here's the deal. The guy had blood cancer.
Oh shit! I didn't know. Leukemia?
No, it's a different kind. And what is it called? Yeah, it's this very severe form of blood cancer that severely impacts the immune system, apparently, and might have even rendered his vaccination ineffective because he was vaccinated.
So he was double vaccinated, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that means. Fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
It's not even fully anymore. Do you know that 6 months after the vaccine, some hospitals are not counting you as vaccinated 6 months after fully vaccinated? This comes from some woman that was working at a hospital that was talking about cases of vaccinated versus unvaccinated people that were admitted to the ICU. and she was saying the people that are in the hospital, they're in her particular hospital. She was saying when someone's been vaccinated 6 months ago, they list them as unvaccinated.
Well, that's why they need those boosters in perpetuity, right? That's
Yeah, but this is crazy. Like they are fucking vaccinated, and they're listing them in the hospital as unvaccinated and jacking up the unvaccinated numbers.
But I think it goes the other way, that if the efficacy is only 6 months, they're jacking up the numbers of people who are vaccinated to try to make it seem like only a tiny minority aren't, when that's 70% or whatever it is.
Right.
Some of them are no longer effectively vaccinated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making it seem like the people that are in the hospital are unvaccinated when they're actually vaccinated, but they've passed this arbitrary expiration date that this one hospital has put on it.
But is it arbitrary? I thought it has like a half-life.
Well, arbitrary in terms of the hospital making the designation, right? Making the distinction that this is an unvaccinated person. Like, there's nowhere else that makes that distinction. Like the federal government, the airlines, like New York City, when you go to restaurants, all these places that have vaccine mandates. The mandate in America, in Israel now, you're considered unvaccinated if you have 2 shots. You have 3.
Okay.
They consider you unvaccinated.
But Israel's rates are through the roof, too.
Through the roof. But
Yeah.
meanwhile, it doesn't seem to be having an impact. The booster doesn't seem to be having an impact. Except with Keith Olbermann. It seems to be making him fucking crazier.
Did you see how I clowned him
Yes,
so
I
bad?
did.
It was so
beautiful.
fun. It was
beautiful.
so fun.
He doesn't know who he's fucking with.
He
doesn't know.
He knows now, motherfucker. This angry old lesbian. Here's the thing, Jamie. If you go to my likes on my Twitter, you'll see the side by
What
side.
you're saying is rude to angry old lesbians.
Okay,
because there's a lot of angry old lesbians that are really cool.
Fine. Let's just say he's doing a very bad B. Arthur impression. Here's the thing: the guy has a resume that can't be beat. Sportscaster,
Yes.
political. He's got this enormous
I
career.
used to enjoy him.
And then you, single-handedly, you and Alex, make him into an internet laughingstock, and he doesn't know what to do about it, and he starts yelling about Rogan muttonheads. Like an 80... You Rogan muttonheads!
He called me Mr. Afraid.
But
Mr. Afraid. Imagine you're sitting in front of your keyboard, like, what do I want to call this asshole? Let's see what I got here. I'm a writer.
But he's also yelling.
I'm a journalist.
He's yelling down to the masses from atop a penthouse on Central Park, like the real estate value that's through the roof.
Well, not only that.
And he's also tagging you because he wants you to engage with him
Of course.
desperately. He's
And
thirsty.
I have.
You have?
Oh, here.
Oh,
We
yeah,
just
but
did.
but he wants to be on the show.
Oh,
But he's
no,
ratings.
he
He's ratings
doesn't.
poison.
He doesn't want to be on the show. I don't know why he's so angry. I mean,
He's
it's
angry
just
because
a weird thing. But
hold on. Can I say one thing? You
yeah,
know why
please.
he's angry? Because you talk a lot about guy stuff. There's something very, very sad when you're closer to your nursing home than to your prime, and everyone lets you know it. If you look at his Twitter feed, no one has his back. Everyone just clowns him, and he doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of support, but that's I don't think he has. I think he probably doesn't have a lot of friends.
Yeah, but he could go out with dignity. He doesn't have to go out like a screaming.
Nobody
loon.
wants to go out, Michael Malice. Nobody wants to go out. They don't want to go out with dignity. They don't want to go out with hate. They don't want to go out.
Sure, of course, yeah. You work with a lot of
Rage
athletes,
against the
yeah.
dying of the light.
Right. I mean, but it's like these UFC guys who are past their prime and they
Yeah.
keep going in there and they become cans, right? It's
Yeah.
like someone needs to sit them down and be like, your time is done. No disrespect to you. You're an amazing athlete, but it's
Right.
over.
Yeah.
Look at yeah.
This thing you did, the choice is clear. But the problem is, like, he's not capable of being silly, right? Like, everything's angry, and you're being silly.
Right.
When anger is confronted by silliness that doesn't get angry at the anger, it makes the anger seem so preposterous.
Well, it's kind of like when you have that like hysterical girlfriend and you're just sitting there smiling and nodding,
Right.
and she just gets more and more hysterical, and at a certain point, it just becomes funny. It's just like,
Yes.
look, you are doing this to and that is trolling at its purest.
Yes, well, that's what you do.
It
I mean,
is
that's
what
why he's fucked up. He made a mistake.
Yeah,
But I feel bad for him because, like, also, he didn't understand what he's saying when he's saying you're afraid, you're afraid. You're literally talking to 72% of the African American community.
yeah.
Like, you really think they're all afraid? Like, this is your only perception on this? is that they're all scared and afraid. Like, this is his hot take.
But it's also his advice. He goes, I wasn't trying to persuade them to get vaccinated. He goes, I was trying to persuade vaccinated people to yell at the unvaccinated and call them dumb. It's like if Keith Olbermann calls me dumb or a muttonhead, this is really not going to be skin off my back or going to change my behavior.
That's not really what it was. What it was it was a flex to show that he's not scared.
Right.
So he's macho. That's why he's yelling at people. He's sensible. That's why he's putting on his glasses. He's letting them know. Like, here's a video of me getting my shot.
Yeah, he's a badass.
I'm a badass. I'm not afraid of myocarditis.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of thrombosis. I'm not afraid of strokes, heart attacks. I'm not afraid of, pericarditis? What's the other shit?
He's afraid of aging, and he's afraid of fading into obscurity. And it's happening to him, and it's very unfortunate that he's doing it in this way.
Yeah, well, you know what, man? He had something at one point in time. Like, his fiery dialogue, like the way he would write these speeches, you know, these monologues. They were very good at one point in time. Like, whatever that was, it's like a man at some point in his life has like a certain balance of like passion, but hope for the future. And, you know, you have your sex hormones, you have your life ahead of you. You have like hope and you want to change things. And at some point in time, things become imbalanced.
Yeah.
And then you no longer have hope, and your hormones aren't functioning correctly anymore.
And now the kids are laughing at you.
Yes.
And you don't know why they're laughing at you, because you're just doing it whatever all your whole peer group is doing, but
Yeah.
somehow you're the one being singled out and being clowned constantly. He's got 1 million followers on Twitter, which is no joke, but these are all former like ESPN or MSNBC people. I just passed him in terms of YouTube subscribers, which I shouldn't be able to do, but that just shows that these are like inactive accounts. And it's kind of, the thing is, when people are that performative about their politics,
Yeah.
they expect people to stand up and applaud for them, right?
Right, that's
But
what
he's
the
not-
reason to do it is.
And he's
yeah.
not getting that, and it must be confusing for him in his dotage.
Well, it's a time where, you know, when these narratives, right, when you could sit down and have these monologues, it used to be a rare thing, you know, where someone had the freedom to like write a monologue like that. So it was impressive.
Sure.
But now everyone with a YouTube channel can sit in front of a camera, and you have these brilliant people that aren't on a platform like MSNBC or Fox or CBS or whatever. They're just in their house.
Yeah.
With a screen behind them. Like Lex. It's a perfect example, right?
I do.
Why are you laughing?
Well, because
we were talking about it before.
Well, also because Lex always makes me smile. He's such a sweet kid. Yeah.
I love him to death.
Yeah. I'm just trying to imagine Lex as Keith Olbermann standing in the balcony. You need to get vaccinated. Joe Rogan's a muttonhead.
He's the opposite,
Yeah.
right? His monologues are all about love and learning and growth
And humility.
Yeah. And he's becoming huge because of it. Because of that, Lex Friedman is one of the most respected and interesting commentators on the internet. I mean, his internet discussions with people are fucking amazing. His David Fravor, the one with that fighter pilot that encountered that strange craft off the coast of San Diego, is one of the best interviews I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he's so good at communicating with people. Again, with humility, but the way he discusses things, even when they're controversial, when, you know, he feels like something needs to be said, the way he says things is never like, I am better than you. He's a fucking scientist from MIT.
He's also like
He's a
a
brilliant
black
guy.
belt martial artist and
black
like
belt
a
in Brazilian
powerlifter.
jiu-jitsu.
He's
Yeah.
he's the hardest working person I've ever met. He pushes himself so hard, and he's so driven, but not in an ambitious way, but kind of like seizing life by the balls kind of way.
Yes, and testing himself.
Yeah.
He's constantly testing himself, and that humility because of constantly finding his own limitations, right? He finds his own limitations on a daily basis. He portrays this character that you respect and you appreciate. You
But
know,
he's really like that.
he's
as
really
you know.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I hang out with him all the time.
Yeah.
He's really like that.
I moved in 2 doors down from him.
I love it.
Yeah,
you two guys are the same.
I know. It's fucking hilarious.
That's the Odd Couple.
Yeah.
You guys should have a sitcom.
I can look out my front door, see his house. So
That's hilarious. That's amazing. I love that you're here. I mean, it's so cool. There's so many cool people moving to the city.
Blair White moved in the same day as me. Rucka Ali moved here as well. He's a music video guy. I don't miss New York at all. At all. And
I don't miss California at all either. LA can eat ass.
LA's gotten worse than New York.
Yeah.
Which is shocking, and it's going to get. There's no mechanism to turn it around.
Not only is there no mechanism, there's like a suicide pact to keep the same path and pretend that it's working, or pretend it's the only way to do it.
I remember sometime maybe 15 years ago, I was at Washington Square Park looking north up Fifth Avenue. And this is when they were talking about Al-Qaeda having a dirty bomb, maybe bringing a suitcase and detonating it and like blowing up New York. And I thought to myself, if they take out the city, take me with it. Like, I can't, this is me. I lived there since I was 2. I still don't know how to drive. And for watching what they did to New York has been, I've talked about this a lot, has been so heartbreaking and traumatic, and moving was so hard. But now that I left, I don't miss it at all.
Listen, I love New York, but I love it to visit. I was just there. I did Madison Square Garden a couple weeks ago. It was magic. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing the garden. This is amazing.
Of course.
And then I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. It's because all the things that make New York special have been destroyed.
De Blasio ruined everything.
De Blasio did more damage to New York than Muhammad Atta. It's not even
way more.
Way more. It's not even close, and intentionally. And he's going to do a lot of nasty things on his way out. And there's not even a question.
What do you think he's going to be able to do?
I don't know. But there's no way. Like, what about Cuomo? Cuomo pardoned that terrorist on his way out. So one of the weathermen.
What terrorist?
One of the weathermen.
Oh, did he really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't know. Wait a minute. I didn't know Cuomo. Governors can pardon people too.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pardon or commute. I'm not exactly sure which of those.
But either way,
yeah, he commuted one of the weathermen. So he's letting terrorists out of jail, but imprisoning peaceful people in their own homes, and not letting them go out to restaurants. Something like the idea for me as a Russian that I got to show a piece of paper to get food from someone is so against my DNA that I was like, I'm not doing this.
Well, the good thing is you could eat outside, which is going to be really fun in January.
Yeah. But like all these great, like if you walk around Park Slope, which was the neighborhood next to mine, like stores that have family stores been there since the 70s, for rent. Yeah. Just store after store shut down. Yeah. And they want us all to be part of these giant corporations and do our shopping through Amazon or Target.
Well, even if they don't want that, even if that's not, that's just what's going to happen because of these policies. If these policies really were put in play to give off the impression that they're protecting people, ultimately what they're doing is empowering places like Target and Walmart, and what they're doing is killing mom and pop shops and small businesses. Yeah.
And with no remorse.
Yeah, no remorse.
There's not like, okay, this is the thing that's so sick about politics. We bailed out the banks in 2008, but there's not really any talk about like these stores that were the staples of their neighborhood, that gave it character, that made it special. It's like, too bad. It's disgusting. And like Shalom Japan barely reopened, but my favorite place in New York, Zenkichi, which is basically you go in, it's a secret door. Every seat's like a Japanese, it's like a Oriental Express train car. You're not allowed to have kids in there. They haven't reopened. Ice and Vice, which is the best ice cream store in the world, they're done. So just store after store. And if you were opening a restaurant or a boutique or a bookstore, why would you do it in New York now?
Oh, for sure. Look, I have friends who have restaurants in Los Angeles, and they're talking to me about Austin. They're like, listen, man, I got to get out of here. Because they're scared that anything, look, the flu rolls around. The flu rolls around, like we already have a precedent. It's been set where when something that kills people, which most diseases kills a certain amount of people because some people are very, very vulnerable. And when something can kill people, now they already have a precedent set where the government can come in and dictate whether or not you can be open and whether or not your business can function, and make it so that people no longer have the choice as to whether or not they would like to just take a chance and go to a restaurant because the flu is around. Now you no longer have the chance because Big Daddy government is going to look after you. And I have a friend whose brother works for the state, and he's a part of this whole COVID commission, and told him point blank, they were having a conversation in Los Angeles about closing outdoor dining. And he said, but there's been no transmission ever connected to outdoor dining. And the woman who wound up closing everything down said, it's about the optics.
Well, it's also.
But imagine thousands of restaurants. They're fucking barely hanging on after the pandemic. And someone comes along and has the fucking balls or ovaries to say it's about the optics. And they're just going to shut down.
What about the wait staff, right, who are not making good? What about the busboys and illegal aliens working in the kitchen?
Everybody.
There's no remorse or concern for their
the chefs who put their heart and soul into creating this menu, and the business owners that have financed this. And it's fucking crazy.
But what this has done, it has allowed educated urban people who live in a state of anxiety, neurosis, and fear to have an external reason for their state of mind. It's not that I'm messed up. It's not that I'm a neurotic. It's that everyone is living under the gun, so it's appropriate that I'm living in this state. I don't have to look inward. I can look outward. Now, COVID is obviously a very big deal. A lot of people have died, but it doesn't explain their extreme sense of terror. They're more scared of getting COVID than of having COVID.
Yes.
Because in their heads, if they get COVID, that means that they've done something wrong.
Yeah. Moral superiority.
Right.
Here's another meme that I love. Hold on. I'll send you this one, Jamie. This one, I got to go into my meme folder.
Do you have a meme folder?
Oh, yeah, I have a meme folder. Yeah, look. I'm not lying. Why would I lie? I don't lie. That's one thing that I don't do. It's not necessary. And it just gets in the way. This is one of my favorite, and this is something completely irrelevant. I sent it to you, Jamie. Yeah, this anger about this. I think you're dead right about the anxiety levels that these people had already. I mean, some of these people are already fucking completely insane and falling apart just based on life, and then something comes along, and they're like, now everybody has to be like this. So as people were...
yeah. They wanted you to die.
That's what I love, though.
Yeah.
Already recovered. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, I was saying, I don't think I'm worried about this, and people would get angry at me. And then I get it, and I recover quickly, and then they're even more angry.
Right, because you were a bad person. You should have consequences for it.
Bad person for literally being healthy my whole life. Bad person for working on it constantly. Spending a shit ton of money to stay healthy.
Bad person for being skeptical of the corporate narrative. The fact that you're calling them out. Here's a question that I would love to have answered. If social distancing was efficacious in terms of COVID transmission, why aren't we doing it again? No one's talking about it. And if it didn't work, why do we do it to begin with?
Did you see the president and his wife walk through that restaurant today?
With no mask.
Completely maskless.
Yeah, of course.
Where there's a mask mandate?
Yeah. But it's rules for thee, not for me. That's their principle with everything.
That is it.
Gavin Newsom, we caught him. You know, there's a supercut of all these politicians who are just doing this hypocritical stuff.
The mayor of San Francisco recently got busted doing it.
Rashida Tlaib, you know, she even said on camera, she's like, "Oh, the Republicans are here, so I have to put the mask on," kind of thing. It's just
LOL.
But this is why I'm so excited about social media, because if it wasn't social media, you wouldn't be able to call these people on their crap and have. There was that footage in was it Wisconsin or Minnesota where the reporter had a mask and the cameraman didn't, and people just put up their cell phones and they filmed it and so it was up on Twitter before the footage was up on the news station.
Do you think that anything would be? Don't you think it works both ways though? That it's also accelerating this sort of this chaos too.
Oh, I love. Isn't that great?
But it's also. I know you love that.
I do. Oh, I love it.
I know you do. But don't you think that it's also like what would it be like if there was no social media in terms of the hyperbole, in terms of like everything getting blown into this wild anxiety-ridden frenzy? Don't you think that the social media also accelerates all of the anxiety? I think it does both things.
I think I think it's bifurcating things. There's two populations, right? There's the and we know what it would look like without social media because it was after it was the Iraq War. Because there really wasn't social media to that extent in 2001, 2002, and the drumbeat for war was incessant. And if you were saying we shouldn't go into Iraq at the time, it was much harder to get a message out. Colin Powell, who, as you just said, passed away earlier today, just went on the floor of the UN and said, not only does Saddam have weapons of mass destruction, he's about to launch them. There wasn't really this kind of way to show contempt and have a parody. Like if you go on Facebook, if you go on Twitter, if you go on YouTube, a New York Times account and a Random Jerks account look basically the same. So they do have that even playing field.
Yes.
You didn't have that before social media.
Did you see that CNBC had a paid tweet by Pfizer?
I mean,
a paid tweet to promote Pfizer.
but they're promoting
and the
Pfizer for
vaccine.
free.
Yeah, but a paid tweet.
Okay.
But there's something about that where you have an organization that's responsible for the news,
Right.
and they tweet something, and then it says tweet paid for by Pfizer.
Yeah, but Joe,
But it's so transparent.
but that's good because before they would be in Pfizer's pocket and you wouldn't know about it because you think they're being objective.
Oh, no, I agree. It's good to see it because it confirms your suspicions.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's also crazy that they're not even high. Here, I'll send it to you, James.
Well, here's another question. I'd like ask people ask your Facebook friend, do you think the pharmaceutical companies have an incentive to force everyone to be their customer? And of course they do.
Yeah, look at that. Paid post by Pfizer.
Wow.
Messenger RNA, a groundbreaking technology, has immense portrayal behind fighting infectious disease. This is how it works. Paid post by Pfizer. Meanwhile, one of the gentlemen who created the mRNA vaccines says it should never be used in a pandemic.
Wow.
Have you seen that?
I have
that
not
guy
seen
talk
that.
about it. Yeah, he was interviewed by Jimmy Dore. It's
Okay, who's great.
Yeah, who's great. It's a long conversation where they discuss mass vaccinations during a pandemic, and this guy, I don't know if he's right or wrong. I'm not a scientist, but this guy is very
Just an equestrian?
yes, I'm a horse. I'm basically a horse.
Centaur.
I'm healthy as a horse.
Centaur Joe.
Again, sorry for being healthy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's fascinating though. The exposing of mainstream media. That's one thing that
Corporate
I'm very happy
press.
about.
Don't call them mainstream because they're not mainstream.
Right. This show is more mainstream than they
Yes,
are.
it's the corporate press.
It's more mainstream by a factor of 10.
Of course.
Which is pretty crazy.
But it's also funny how they will do everything in their power to make you seem like you should be dismissed and not taken seriously.
Right. Yeah, but it's not working.
No.
That's what's fascinating. But this framing of like ivermectin as horse medicine was I'm in some ways I'm really happy that they did it to me. Because they could have
Because you
done
have the
it.
audience to blast back. Did you see that supercut?
Yes.
Of
Yes.
just one after another, them laughing at you?
Yeah, hilarious.
But also, this is what's interesting. They kept saying that ivermectin. First of all, it's like you called your dealer. You had it prescribed, right?
Yeah.
So when they say it's not approved, it's not like you are using your own judgment. You're using the judgment of a medical professional, which is what they've been yelling for a year and a half. Listen to the experts.
Well, not only that, I listed off a laundry list of medications, and that's the one they focused on.
Right.
I said I took monoclonal antibodies. I said I took prednisone. I said I took Z-Pak. I said I had IV infusions of NAD and of vitamins, and I also took ivermectin. I mean, it should be no surprise. I had Dr. Pierre Corey, who is one of the doctors from the frontline critical COVID care group that has been treating people, including, by the way, 200 congresspeople have been treated with ivermectin for COVID. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Google that. 200. I believe you could probably find it in Dr. Pierre Corey's Twitter page. Yeah. Before there were vaccines, this was a common treatment, an off-label treatment for COVID. Now, I do not know what the motivation for demonizing this particular medication is. Again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, but I would imagine some of it has to do with money. The reason being is that it is a generic drug now. The patent has run out, so anybody can make it, and it's worth like 30 cents a dose. Now, Merck has its own antiviral that's supposed to do the same thing that they claim ivermectin does, as does Pfizer. They're both about to release it. I don't know if that's why the FDA is making snarky tweets about it being veterinary medicine, but I do know that it was used for humans for fucking years before they ever started using it for animals. And I also do know that there's a massive amount of medications that have veterinary applications, including penicillin.
Well, Joe, it's like me calling Child Protective Services because my neighbor was feeding her baby cat food, and by cat food I mean milk.
Yeah,
it's insane. Like
It's insane.
Dogs take Xanax and all these
Yes.
other things. So it's
Wait a minute, dogs take Xanax?
Yeah,
People have like anxiety-ridden dogs?
of course.
I guarantee it's the person.
Or cats. Yeah. Well, yeah.
come
yeah.
over to my house. My dog just lays
I
down.
know. I
lets
met
you rub his
Marshall.
belly.
Yeah, he's a sweet. He doesn't need Xanax
Because he's fucking.
He's a dog. He's happy.
chill.
Yeah. But
Actually, some people get rescue dogs. I should take that back because
Sure.
I did have a dog that had anxiety because I got her when she was 2.
or
and she was
maybe
a little-
it's an older dog gets a puppy and the dog doesn't know what to do. Yeah, there's situations. Whatever.
yeah. That could. They
Yeah.
think they're that. Could
But I don't think it's necessarily about the money so much. It's about obedience. because they're the ones who are promulgating how everyone has to act. And then you have this guy from Austin over here, this comedian, telling people there was another way and the science isn't as settled. And all of a sudden, their sense of authority is diminished because when you have choices, that means that person who wants to be the one to go to no longer is the one who has all the answers.
Well, this is what is so funny about that. They don't understand that when they say things that are absolutely untrue, it diminishes their authority. They're not even aware of what they're doing. Like,
but they don't have an alternative.
When Don Lemon goes on with
lie?
Sanjay Gupta and says, actually, it really is a veterinary medicine. It really is deworming horses.
This was the lie. He goes, it's not a lie to say it's also used as horse medicine. He goes,
that's not what you said.
Yeah, that's not what you said. You didn't say this drug, which also is used for horses. Of what relevance is that?
It doesn't have any relevance. Exactly what you're talking about with penicillin and with like a gigantic number of medicines that also have veterinary applications. But by doing that, you just prove my point. They don't even understand what they just did. You think no one's, like, it's going to end with you? See, because it used to be that way. They would say something and no one would have recourse.
Do you know what this is?
But when you're saying something and then the person you're saying it about has literally 10 times the audience you do, you dumb motherfucker. Do you know what you did? You just proved my point.
But do you know what this is like? You and I are old enough to remember the WWF, right? So you had the WWF and then you had the NWA, which was the alternative wrestling organization, which was much smaller. And you'd have the wrestlers come over from NWA to WWF and they pretended these people came out of nowhere. And then one time they brought over Ric Flair and Bobby Heenan held up Ric Flair's belt. And this was their first acknowledgement of this other organization. And here's the other thing. To look at NWA, just had to change the channel. It's not like it was existing in some weird netherverse, but this is how they want to construct reality, that you don't listen to Joe, you listen to Don Lemon telling you what Joe says, and you don't have that independent way to inform yourself.
They need better people. They need people that are respected, because it's not that CNN is beyond repair.
I think they're beyond repair.
I don't think they are. Look, I know Jeff Zucker, he's a nice guy. I know Jeff. I worked for him.
Okay.
When I worked at NBC, when I was the host of Fear Factor, Jeff Zucker was the president of NBC. He's a great guy. It's just it's like everything else. These people are managing at scale, but you can't allow people to say things that are absolutely untrue when you have a fucking news organization. And it's not about my feelings. Oh, Joe Rogan's feelings are hurt. Like, I like it when my feelings get hurt. How about that?
Yeah.
I like it. I hurt my own feelings. Like, there's not a fucking human being that's a worse critic of me than me. All right? That's not what the problem is.
Well, challenge accepted. Listen, you butthead. Let me tell you something, Joe Rogan.
The look on your face. You are the ultimate troll. You should for sure have a crown. For sure have, like, the king of trolls.
Yeah.
And wear that. You should wear that with certain posts.
But, dude, I disagree with you, because when you're saying that you can't just have people lying, we're all taught in high school about yellow journalism and the Spanish-American War, and they lied to get us into that. Then there's a record scratch, and they pretend that they're objective. They've been lying for a very, very long time. Here's another very easy example. We were told that unless we have boots in the ground in Syria, which means American troops dying, the Kurds are going to be exterminated from the face of the earth.
Right.
This is going to be another genocide. All of the boots weren't on the ground. The Kurds were not exterminated. The story vanished from the headlines. And none of those people advocating for war, who were claiming if we don't do this, it's going to be genocide, had any consequences for their lies.
You're 100% right. I'm gonna send you something, Jamie, because this is also something that I want to say. This is one of the reasons why I think Substack is so fucking amazing.
And that's why they have to demonize it, because it's an end run around their bullshit.
Exactly. But this is what Glenn Greenwald is using, and Matt Taibbi is using, and Barry Weiss is using. I want to play this. This is Barry
right. There are
on.
tens of millions of
give it
Americans
from the
who
beginning.
aren't on
Play
the
it from the
hard
beginning.
left
Yeah, there we go.
You're right. There are tens of millions of Americans who aren't on the hard left or the hard right who feel the world has gone mad.
This is Brian Stelter and Barry Weiss.
Gone mad?
Well, when you have the chief reporter on the beat of COVID for the New York Times talking about how questioning or pursuing the question of the lab leak is racist, the world has gone mad. When you're not able to say out loud and in public that there are differences between men and women, the world has gone mad. When we're not allowed to acknowledge that rioting is rioting and it is bad, and that silence is not violence, but violence is violence, the world has gone mad. When we're not able to say that Hunter Biden's laptop is a story worth pursuing, the world has gone mad. When, in the name of progress, young school children, as young as kindergarten, are being separated in public schools because of their race, and that is called progress rather than segregation, the world has gone mad. There are dozens of examples that I could share with you and with
And you
viewers.
often say,
Look at him. Look at him.
And
Yeah.
You say we're not allowed, we're not
chasm
able.
between-
Who's the people stopping
It's
the
you, you
conversations? Who are
asshole.
they?
people that work at networks, frankly, like the one I'm speaking on right now,
Hell
who
yeah.
try and claim that, you know, it was
Look at his face.
racist to investigate the lab leak theory. It was.
But
I mean,
who
let's
said
just
that
take
at
an
CNN?
example.
But I'm just saying that when you say allowed, I just think it's a provocative thing you say. You say,
Okay,
you say
stop.
we're not
I
allowed.
can't take his voice. But this is
Do you see where Mark Dice does an impression of him?
No.
He has these videos of Brian Stelter who goes, "It's Brian Stelter, I really gotta go into the movies and look at this." He just dubs over it.
I think a lot of these folks don't have friends, and they don't have this sort of like this feedback loop.
Well,
that
I
you
think
get
it's a
from
circle
having
jerk, don't you
friends.
think?
Yes.
It's just they're friends with each other.
Well, yeah, right. But I mean, I think friends are like your diet. It has to be varied, you know, and it has
course.
to be nutritious. Like
I love it having friends who call me my bullshit.
Yeah, it's important.
They do it once.
It's important.
That's it. Once, but it's important to get it once.
Duly noted. Click, block, delete.
Holy shit, he's been watching my stuff.
Yeah, it's these are extraordinary times, but because Barry Weiss used to work at the New York Times and decided enough of this bullshit
Yeah.
and has the courage and the principles to leave, and now she's got over 100,000 people on her Substack, and please subscribe to her Substack because it's excellent. She's
a lefty.
Yes, she's a lefty.
There's- I mean,
hardcore lefty.
They are, even with this, what do you call it, COVID stuff and vaccine stuff, they're still trying to make it about Trump.
Yeah.
And that if you're not getting the vaccinated because you're a Trump supporter, which has a complete non sequitur.
Right.
But they're so focused on creating their own little narrative that anything outside that really they don't know how to engage with.
Well, they have a playbook, and it's
Yes.
only like 2 pages long, and one of them is somebody has to be the bad guy. And
Right.
the bad guy, you know, when it comes to this COVID stuff, there's anybody who questions the narrative,
Right.
anybody who goes over the data and finds flaws in it,
Right.
anybody who has some sort of an alternative perspective. You're the bad guy, and you're Trump. You know, and that's what they
And you want people
attempted
to die.
do to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. This weirdness that's going on. And when someone like Barry Weiss, who you can't put in that box, goes on CNN and just says something more sensible and more poignant than anybody who's ever fucking said anything on that network, when that happens, you realize you got a problem because the great minds are not there. The people that are saying things that are important and critical and crucial to our understanding of why we're so fucked right now, they're people like Barry Weiss. They're the people that go on these networks and say, hey, this is fucking madness. And when you, what's madness? What's wrong? Who says that? No one on CNN.
It's really funny when he says, "Who's saying that?" when they literally put on the screen the New York Times saying it.
Exactly. Not only that, but like he's saying, who's stopping people from saying that while you're talking over?
CNN threatened to sue someone for making a meme of Trump wrestling the CNN logo.
Really?
So, yes. You didn't know this?
No.
They made a meme of a guy, Trump wrestling, they put CNN's logo, and they tried to find out who it is, and they said, we still reserve the right to sue you. That's who's stopping people.
Do not tell my legal team about this because they're ready to go.
Well, it's not like they listen to this show.
Let me
Can you
see
pull
this
up,
article.
Jamie? CNN threatens lawsuit meme. This
That's
was a while ago.
hilarious.
It's not hilarious. I'm sorry, it's not hilarious at
No,
all.
no.
When you're threatening, as a giant corporation are threatening some kid in his mom's basement, in this case it's probably literally true, with a lawsuit for making a clearly humorous wrestling meme, you are the evil corporations in every 80s dystopian sci-fi movie.
Are we sure this isn't just some lawyer who works at CNN who oversteps his bounds?
You could find the exact quote.
I would like to know.
You could
what
find the exact
happened.
quote. I thought it was the
That-
PR person who said this.
That PR person is crazy.
They're not crazy. They're smart because they know they have the power and they're going to use it.
But they're crazy in that now we know about it because it became
Sure,
a national
sure.
story.
The
and we're-
Streisand effect.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Streisand effect is beautiful. It really is. It's a beautiful thing, and it's a thing about the internet. Like, if people don't know the Streisand effect, would you please explain how it happened with her house?
Sure, Barbara. There was some picture of I don't remember exactly, of basically a bunch of houses on the beach.
She has this massive house, I think, like over on a bluff,
Malibu, I think
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
And someone somewhere just identified, oh, this is Barbara Streisand house. She sued it, and then had no views. She sues him or threatens lawsuit. It blows up, and as a consequence of her trying to keep it hidden, it became 100 times more visible than it would have been otherwise.
Yes.
So if she just kept her mouth shut and let it blow over, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, well, every fucking famous person. This is a crazy thing. Like, once the internet happened, I think she's legacy media, right? She didn't understand.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, it was like when Barbara Streisand is 1,000 years old. When she was a kid and super popular, everything was controlled. Those are the days when Lyndon Johnson used to take a shit with the door open and talk to the press.
Oh, yeah.
When everybody knew that Kennedy was having affairs and no one said anything. This is a different world. And then, you didn't publish the address of people who were, considered celebrity royalty. Like, Barbara Streisand is celebrity royalty.
For sure.
Right? She's, did she win an Oscar? I think she won an Oscar.
She's an EGOT. She's got all 4 of them.
Yeah, she's got everything. So
Yeah.
she's literally like legacy royalty. And for her to say this, like, you can't show a picture of my house.
Don't you know who I am?
Everybody's like, what house?
Yeah.
that?
Oh, I want to see Barbara's house.
Where's this house?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, my house was formed under an or I bought my house under an LLC. I did all this stuff to hide it, and they were all talking about, don't worry, it'll be private. And I started laughing.
Yeah, of
I was like, I go private. I go, there's no private anymore.
Of course.
That shit doesn't exist.
But did you find it, Jamie?
Yes, and well, sort of. That's
The
what I'm trying to
CNN
find. Like, I
logo?
found CNN's version of what they said happened,
you
which
can't
is
read
well,
that.
I know, but like I was trying. There's not a lot of articles.
Right
about
after they
this.
have a pop-up that says race deconstructed. What the fuck does that even mean?
No, but if you just look for CNN threads lawsuit. Okay, sorry.
I did. There's a bunch
Okay.
of people like Trump threatening lawsuits to CNN that was taking over all of the search
There you go.
results.
This
So
is
here's
the one.
another site that talked about what
Okay.
happened, but I don't have the story. 'cause
But
it's
let's go
behind a
for the
paywall.
Independent. It says CNN accused of blackmailing Reddit user behind Trump's wrestling meme.
And there's the meme. It's clearly a joke. They put a CNN logo over a person's head.
Right. Any assertion that the network coerced or blackmailed the user is false, says CNN. Well, maybe it is false.
Well, so that's why I went to what
Yeah.
CNN had, and they actually it goes deeper into the person that they talked to, and then this who's a person on Reddit wrote these apologies, which then seems that's a little I don't see anybody on Reddit really ever doing that. It may have happened, but that's not typical for.
Well, listen what he says. Well, he might have been joking. He says, first of all, I'd like to apologize to the members of the Reddit community for getting this site and this sub embroiled in controversy that should have never happened. It should never have happened, he wrote. I would also like to apologize to the post for the posts that that were racist, bigoted, and anti-Semitic. I am in no way this kind of person. I love and accept people of all walks of life and have done so for my entire... Oh, he probably got contacted at work.
Of course
yeah,
he
so
did.
they said they almost they basically
They
doxed
doxed
him,
him.
trying to find out who
Hey,
made this.
go back, please. I am not the person that the media portrays me to be in real life. I was trolling and posting things to get a reaction from the subs at Reddit. That's the thing that people have to understand about like Reddit and 4chan and all that stuff. These people are having fun and they're saying things that are wildly inappropriate because they're wildly inappropriate.
And anonymous.
Right. This is not their actual feelings on this subject. When you read something and you see a frog with a Hitler helmet on, it's not that you're anti-Semitic. It's that it's ridiculous to do.
But CNN was saying this meme was him calling for violence against CNN. That's a lie.
But did they really say that
Yes.
openly? That's what we need to find out.
Yes.
Because CNN said they did.
If you search for the words CNN reserves the right, I'm pretty sure you'll find where they're threatening to lawsuit.
Well, it says this on this part. It says CNN reserves the right to publish his identity should any of that change.
Oh my God. What?
It says they were not going
Should
to
any of
publish
what
it.
change? Any of what change? This is on CNN?
Yeah,
Holy
that's why I was trying to say like
shit.
that's why I used their words.
Hold on. CNN is not publishing this gentleman name because he's a private citizen who has issued an extensive statement of apology for that fucking nonsensical meme.
Can you show the meme? Can you show how silly it is?
But let's go to, hold on. Showed his remorse by saying he has taken down, oh my God, All his
But
offense. This is on CNN. So
but Joe, the last sentence is most important. His
Yes.
statement could serve as an example to others to not to do the same.
Yes.
If you make fun of us,
Yes.
we're going to find out who you are,
but
and
also,
we're going to dox you.
But also before that, look at this. And because he said he is not going to repeat this ugly behavior on social media again.
Yeah.
And then it also says CNN reserves the right to publish his identity should any of that change. Holy shit, that's a threat.
Of course it's a threat.
That is awful.
But they also reserve the right, I'm
But
99% sure to sue him.
Please post that meme again because the meme is so innocuous. And what year is this? Is this like 2017?
You can see at the very top in the URL.
Okay. So isn't it crazy that the world has changed that much in 4 years? Because it really has.
How so? I mean, they're still pulling this shit.
But they would never say anything like this anymore.
Yes, they would.
I don't think.
In a
would.
second.
I don't think they would.
They said worst about you.
Yeah, but I think the podcast. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. By saying I took horse medication.
I mean, they're trying to make you out to be a clown, and Gupta called this the lion's den, like you're some kind of antagonistic.
No. Listen, Gupta's a nice guy. Let me clarify this because this is important because Gupta's getting attacked. Sanjay Gupta is a neurosurgeon. He's a guy who worked literally like a fucking 110 hours a week for years and years and years to become a neurosurgeon.
Sure.
He's a socially awkward, introverted guy who's a medical pundit on CNN.
Right.
When he's communicating with them and he's doing these like short form conversations when he's dealing with like a powerful personality like Don Lemon, it's very difficult to get your point across. One of the things that he's been accused of that is not correct is that people said that he agreed that it was a veterinary medicine. That's not what he agreed. What Don Lemon said that it was also used as a horse dewormer and it's not approved by the FDA for use for COVID. And he said that's correct. That's what he meant was it's not approved for COVID. He tried to talk and Don interrupted him and he actually called me and we had a conversation about this.
Okay.
He's not a bad guy. He's a very good guy, but he's also a guy that is a real practicing neurosurgeon, right? So he's insanely busy and he's not up on all this propaganda.
Wait a minute. You don't think he got? I don't know about that. I don't know. So I'm asking from a place of ignorance, not a place of gotcha. Do you not think that they gave him a call after this show and said you got to go on Don Lemon and do damage control?
I think they invited him to go on Don Lemon's show and talk about it for sure.
Yeah, of course.
And he also went on Aaron Burnett's show.
Yeah, and if they had their druthers, they would ignore you, and they don't have that option
The
anymore.
Aaron Burnett one is hilarious.
Oh, I haven't seen that
because I said to him, because he said you should get a vaccine even though you've already had COVID. And I said, why would I do that? I said, you should get COVID. I go, you'd have real protection. Yeah. And Aaron Burnett, apparently, I haven't seen that. Have you seen it? Go to his. My wife said it is a comedy sketch. She goes, it's so hilarious. She goes, it's bad acting, like soap opera acting. She goes, like, do you think he really wanted you to get COVID? I haven't seen it, so we should watch it together in real time.
Please.
But
that is worse than what they said with the. They're saying if they're implying that you want him to get COVID, that's really bad.
I do think you should get COVID.
No, but you don't want him to get COVID in the sense that I hope you get sick.
No, I think it'd be good for his immune system.
But you want him to get COVID and get healthy, not get COVID and die.
100%. I love that guy. I really do. I really love him. I think he's a really nice guy. I really do. I really, really do. I'm a fan of Sanjay Gupta as a person. I've had many chances to talk to him. I'm going to send you something else, Jamie. That's important. I like him. Like my dealings with him, whether it was on the show or off the show.
I can't wait.
Let me hear this. Yeah.
Fast.
If you're like 21 years old,
no,
this is not. This is not. Get vaccinated? This is not what I want.
Okay, so
but go to the part. This is all just old stuff. Yeah. This is me and him talking. Yeah, go ahead. Hit it there. Vaccinated.
You're talking,
I think
a lot of vulnerable people.
Yeah.
If you just said vulnerable people, there'd be a lot
older
of
people, fat people. I think a lot of those folks. My real concern is this urge to vaccinate children.
Yeah.
And I don't know what kind of data we have on the long-term effects of this, and I don't know what kind of data we have. When you look at this study that shows that the 12 to 15-year-old boys are 4 to 6 times more likely, or what is that the number? Was that whatever the number was? Much more likely. That scared out of me.
Thankfully, it's really small numbers. Period.
Right. Period.
All right, Sanjay is with me now. And
Go ahead,
Sanjay, of
play
course,
this
is
out.
also the author of the new book, World War C, Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic and How to Prepare for the Next One. So, Sanjay, look, I think this is really important because Joe Rogan is listened to and popular with a lot of people who aren't consuming mainstream media and mainstream science, right? So you went on
Hold
there,
on, pause.
I know, to
Pause,
talk to
pause,
him.
pause. How the fuck does she know that?
Well, here,
But hold on a second.
I'll tell you how she knows
but
it.
This is nonsense.
I'll tell you how she knows it.
Framing this narrative that I'm popular with people that don't consume mainstream media.
Here's how I know. Just the math. If you have 1 million viewers and they have 1,000, then you have 999,000 people who aren't consuming them. That's just math.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Not consuming them.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But that's not real because, okay, if that's mainstream media, but mainstream media has thousands of options.
They're trying to make it out that
Right.
people either listen to them or are crazy.
Right.
That's
exactly.
the framing.
But meanwhile,
We are
we've
the
already
truth.
we've already proven that they're deceptive with this whole
At
horse
best,
dewormer
yes.
shit. At best.
I
So
can
go
give you
ahead.
another example in a second.
Play it again.
Yes, and to talk to people who listen to him. You talked to him for more than 3 hours. So what was the main reason that you made the decision to do that?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that, Aaron. I mean, it's this
Wait,
idea
can we
that
pause this? I'm
we've
sorry.
been at
Wait,
this for a
hold
couple
on,
of years.
Can we pause this? The main, this is not a knock on him, but isn't it clear that the main reason he was here was to sell his new book?
That no, I invited him here.
No, but because his book just launched, and more power to him. I hope people buy it.
Yeah, but here, let me explain how it
Please.
all went down. We have a mutual friend. Our mutual friend reached out to me and said Sanjay Gupta would like to connect with you, and I said, "Really?"
Was this recently?
Yeah, it was a month or so ago.
Okay.
And I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Sanjay Gupta listens to your podcast all the time, and he's a fan of the show, and he wants to talk to you." So I say, "Okay." So we connect, exchange a couple text messages, and then we make a phone call. And the phone call is like 45 minutes long. And one of the things that he said is, I love the fact that you have this camaraderie with all your friends.
Yes.
And he goes, it's a really wonderful thing to see. I really enjoy your conversations. He goes, I think you're a very open-minded and curious person.
Yes.
I think that's really interesting. And we have this really fun talk. There's never a discussion of him doing my podcast.
Okay.
It was just fun talk. And then he says, I would love to have dinner with you. And I said, I would love to have dinner with you too. And I told him that I really respected the way he altered his opinion on marijuana when confronted with new data. And we had a great conversation. And then he reaches out and tells me that, he's going to be in Austin in a certain amount of time, at a certain point in time. And I said, I can't do that time. I go, but listen, if you ever want to come in and do the podcast, I mean, if you like the podcast, I'd love to have you on. I'd love to talk to you. And he said, let me see if I can do that.
Yeah.
So
You have
and
to get
then
it cleared, yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then he says, would you be willing to be on CNN as well? And I said, fuck no. I said, I don't want to be on CNN because I'm worried about editing.
Yeah.
And they've already done it. They did it with these
Right, of course.
clips.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I was worried about. And he's not an editor. It's not in his hands.
And they need you more than you need them.
Well, I didn't think about it that way. I'm just like, I just don't trust editing. I
Right.
just don't, because it's like long form is where it's at, and it's one thing in a clip edited, like these clips of me and Sanjay having disagreements about whether it's about horse dewormer or whether it's about children being vaccinated.
Right,
These
right.
are like 10-minute clips, and they're not edited, not by me at least.
Right, right.
These are long ass clips. I think that's fair. But what they do on CNN, they take like 30-second sound bites. So I'm like, you should get COVID.
Yeah, I hope you get COVID, Sanjay. Yeah,
So play it on, though. Keep playing.
Now, I think we talk about this obviously on your program, on CNN, all the time, but there's a lot of people who still aren't getting the message. And I don't know, maybe it was a silly idea of mine, but I wanted to go talk. I think if you're serious about public health, you've got to go reach people who aren't typically hearing these messages. And I think it's Joe. I also felt that Joe was willing to have a dialogue. I mean, we had talked on the phone a couple of times.
Okay.
He wanted to have this conversation, so I thought there was room for a real dialogue out of which maybe some new knowledge for his listeners could come.
So I played part of the vaccination conversation, but as I said, it was 3 hours. So it wasn't the only time you tried to convince Rogan to get vaccinated. I wanted to play another instance during an exchange that you had when you guys were talking about immunity to COVID.
Testing is obviously testing you to see if you have the virus.
Yes.
The therapeutic is to treat you because you have the virus.
Yes.
I still think it'd be better not to get the virus.
I think it'd be better to get the virus and recover and have amazing immunity to it. Wouldn't it be?
Well, you could get sick, though.
You know what I think you should do? I think you should get vaccinated and then get sick.
Yeah.
What?
This is why.
Why?
Because then you got the vaccine protects you from a bad infection, and then you get COVID, so then you get the robust immunity that's imparted from having the actual disease itself, which is far more complex and comprehensive than you're getting from the vaccine that targets one specific protein, right?
You could make that argument, I think.
Yeah, so that's the move. Get vaccinated, let it wane, and hang around with a bunch of dirty people.
Okay, well,
and then get a lot of therapeutics on hand so you can take care of it quickly.
I will see your recommendation. And
do it?
And give you a recommendation.
Should have come out with us last night. You probably would have caught it.
I almost did. Yeah. Now I know what your secret plan was. No. So
now watch this.
So for you, Joe Rogan.
Yes.
I would say you've had it.
Yes.
So now get one shot of the vaccine.
No.
Why not?
Because I have better immunity than I would if I was vaccinated. Here you go.
Okay, so Sanjay, I mean, as many times you try to explain that, I mean, the obvious things of nobody knows how long that natural immunity lasts or how it differs from person to person, and of course, it would only be better if you had the vaccine on top of it, all of these basic facts. Do you feel like you broke through or that he will ever embrace the vaccine?
I really don't think so. I mean, I hate to say that, but he just was very steadfast in this. And when I cited him data saying, hey, look, there is the people who have natural immunity, people who have vaccinated immunity, and while the natural immunity may be strong for a period of time, reinfection rates are twice as high among people who have natural immunity versus vaccinated immunity.
I don't think that's true. Stop. I don't think that's true.
Did he say that to you on the show?
No, he did not. And if he did, I would have challenged him.
I've never heard that before. He could be right. I'm not a doctor.
Not only do I not believe that's true, but people who have been vaccinated have had breakthrough cases and died. I think the number of people who have had COVID twice and died on the second time is incredibly small. I was reading an article about this recently where they were trying to find instances of people who caught COVID, survived, got the antibodies, and then died on the second case. Everyone that I know 4 people I know 13 people now have had breakthrough cases. So another thing that he said during the show that I didn't challenge, he said that breakthrough cases are incredibly rare. They're not incredibly rare. With time dependent, let's call him Powell's breakthrough case. But he obviously he has a different situation because he had cancer. But I know 13 fucking people that have had breakthrough cases.
Michaela had it. Peterson.
Did she?
Yes.
Breakthrough case?
Yes.
Yeah. The number of people that have gotten COVID and recovered and then had it again and then died is so small. Not only that, they think that there was an article that published recently, and I know I'm giving you a lot to Google, Jamie, that said that there was a study that they believe that the antibodies imparted from natural infection are not only more robust, they're 6 to 13 times better based on the Israeli study of 2.5 million people. 6 to 13 times better than the immunity that's imparted from the vaccine. But this study from this when they were dealing with SARS, they're showing people that have immunity of SARS-CoV-1, right, the original one, that it's better. It's better. It's not just better than the vaccine, but people have immunity from SARS that have recovered from it 18 years later. Like this article that was recently published with this study, they were saying they believe that it imparts lifetime immunity. It may impart lifetime immunity. So what she's saying, we don't know.
Can we rewind
how
a little
long,
bit because it sounded so crazy?
But what we do know, well, here's another thing we do know. Johnson & Johnson, there was an article about the Johnson & Johnson. I'm giving you too much to Google. Well, I want to pause.
Yeah, I found a recent article, so September.
COVID-19 antibodies persist, reduce reinfection up to 6 months, study finds. The problem is that it's like did not differ significantly over the 6-month period. Okay, the antibodies' ability to neutralize COVID-19 did not differ significantly over the 6-month period. Problem is that we have a limited amount of time, right? We only have 18 months of people even having this disease. But here's what we do know. If they did not differ significantly, the vaccine did differ significantly, massively. In fact, the Johnson & Johnson, find this one, it went from 88% to 3% in 6 months. That's fucking wild.
Well, they always talk about how you need boosters, so this is
Yeah.
not even in dispute that the vaccines are limited. I was under the impression, and again, I'm not Sanjay, I'm not a doctor, that once you have it, you're set for a very long time in terms of your antibodies.
Yes.
I thought that was not in dispute.
It's not in dispute, except it's CNN, and this is why it's a problem. And when she's saying that the people that listen to this podcast don't consume mainstream media, maybe that's why.
Right,
Maybe
yeah,
what you just did is why. Here it is. The researchers found that among more than 600,000 veterans, the J&J vaccine's protection fell from 88% in March to 3% in August. Moderna looks pretty good. Moderna's vaccine protection against infection fell to 64% from 92%. Pretty fucking good. And Pfizer's declined to 50% from 91%.
So that's like half as effective.
The Moderna one, though, has the most side effects because it's the most potent.
Okay.
So the thing is that Johnson & Johnson is the least potent, and Fauci has said recently that they should have probably made the Johnson & Johnson for 2 doses, not for 1.
But it's also the way they discuss the vaccine. There's several vaccines, and they're trying to act as if these are interchangeable, and that data is clearly showing the opposite.
Well, exactly. They're clearly showing that that's the opposite, and they're also clearly showing a decline. We know about the decline, and we also know that there's no decline, at least in 6 months, with natural immunity.
Yeah.
So she's saying this. And I don't know how much research she's done. I don't want to give Erin Barnett a hard time. I don't know how much research she's done. I know she's probably got a narrative that she's been given by producers.
But if you don't have research, don't say it's a fact. Just say, as far as I know, or my understanding is, because you have a doctor there who can correct you.
Yes.
That's her job, to be like, look, why is the medical correspondence there if you don't know?
Michael, you've done a lot of these shows, and I think and this is, again, I have no disagreement with Erin Burnett. I think the problem is these goddamn short form shows. This is no way to discuss something that's incredibly nuanced and very difficult to discuss and very important. And you're dealing with the differences there's so many variables in terms of age, in terms of immune systems, health. There's so many factors that we need to take into consideration when we're talking about people that get sick.
But I disagree with you because it's not a short form thing. Like you said, I've done a lot of these shows, and a lot of times I'm talking out of my ass. So what I make sure to say is, it is my understanding, or as far as I know, or I was under the impression that. You coach it in those terms so the person listening can be like, this is my opinion, and I'm not completely informed. She is saying, this is her quote, basic facts.
Yeah.
That's a very different way of framing what she's saying.
Well, also, when she's saying that you're not going to talk him into getting the vaccine, I don't fucking need the vaccine. Did you understand? I've recovered from COVID.
And why is it so important for her to have him talk you into taking this vaccine?
Because this is the narrative.
Right,
This
exactly.
is the mainstream narrative, and they know that if they say it that way, they won't receive any criticism except from fringe people like me.
Right.
But if they say it any other way, then people will come down on them and call them an anti-vaxxer.
Right.
They're calling fucking Eric Clapton an anti-vaxxer. He's been vaccinated.
And a racist. Did you see the Rolling Stone did?
I didn't see what Rolling Stone did, but I saw what the LA Times did.
The Rolling Stone, I believe it was Rolling Stone, had an article about a history of Eric Clapton's racist remarks. So as soon as he pushes back the narrative, they go digging, and now he's a racist.
What did he say that they said was racist?
I didn't read the article.
Yeah,
what
good
do
for
I
you.
care?
Well, the Rolling Stone also printed a completely fake story about gunshot victims in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Needing to wait to get into
Right.
the ER because there were so many people that were overdosing on horse medication.
And didn't they
which
have-
is a fucking total lie. Not only that, the amount of ivermectin you would need to take to have an overdose is fucking massive.
But Joe, didn't they also have a picture of people lining up outside wearing winter coats? And
wearing winter coats in Oklahoma.
And the article was in the summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma in fucking August.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's
Oklahoma's
not dumb because if you were raised to look at these people as arbiters of truth, you would never think to question them.
Well, Rolling Stone's a weird thing because it's more of a culture magazine than it is anything.
Right.
But they're venturing into this clickbait world. And that's what this is. This is clickbait.
I don't think it's clickbait at all. I don't think they expect people to click on that headline. I think they just want to pass a narrative. They're not expecting you to read that article about what Eric Clapton said that was racist. They're expecting you to think Eric Clapton equals racist equals bad.
Well, maybe that. Maybe the Eric Clapton thing. But I think they do want you to click on it because that's where they make their money.
They're not interested in money. They're interested in power.
Oh, I don't think that's the truth with Rolling Stone. With Rolling Stone magazine, I have a deep respect for journalism, and I have a deep sympathy for the times they're in. Because no one is buying print anymore.
Right.
Everyone's consuming everything online.
Sure.
The only way to get clicks is I have friends that are journalists that tell me, their editors tell them this, that you have to, even if you're being deceptive, in your headlines. And maybe sometimes they will submit something with one headline and it'll be changed.
But yeah, they often don't write their own headlines.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. It'll be changed.
I've had that happen.
That's the issue. And they're trying to get as many people to click on it as possible. And if they can do it by being deceptive, it can make a difference of 10, 15% clicks, which is huge, or maybe even more. They're fucking starving. Right? There's no one paying for this shit. No one's paying for journalism. Very few. I pay for a few. But very few people are paying to subscribe to the New York Times or the Washington Post or Rolling Stone. They're just consuming things online, and they have an abundance of options. I mean, there's so many options. To get people to click on things, you have to make it inflammatory. You have to make it outrageous.
But I also think making it inflammatory gives them power, because if you're the one who's getting an emotional reaction of a person, you're creating a bond with them.
I see your point, but I don't think that's the motivation. I think the motivation is not power, it's finances. I think they're trying to make money. They're trying to make money in a dying business.
If they were trying to make money, they would have changed their tactics over the last few years, and they haven't. They've just been doubling down on that which is destroying them, thank God.
Yeah, but clickbait is a good tactic if you want to get people to click on your stuff.
But if it's working, then why are they dying?
Well, they're dying because they're just in a bad market.
But that's just an excuse. Like,
But
every
no.
market's bad. Every market is good or bad doesn't mean the individual organization is going to do well or poorly.
I think the only people that are thriving in this market are the Matt Taibbis and the Glenn Greenwalds and the Barry Weisses, who are independent, who have low overhead and have moved to Substack.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are thriving, because people are like, someone, or the Alex Berenson, someone please tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Tell me.
But this is also why people who work at these kind of institutions, like they do not have it in them to have people attract them on a personal level. So they have to repeat the party line, because someone who works for, let's suppose, Reason Magazine isn't going to be someone whose podcast you're going to want to listen to or the Substack you're going to subscribe.
Maybe they are. You know, I mean, like, look, there's a lot of individuals that work for these organizations that are kind of trapped inside of these
Of
weird...
course.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they get status and stature, because they have that credential. If they were on Substack or in the free market, no one's going to listen to what they have to say.
Or they started out 20 years ago and it was a viable option. You know, in 2001, that was the way to go.
Oh, hell yeah. I look at the New York Times. My parents brag about me to my friends.
Dude, I used to deliver it just because it was a cool thing to deliver.
Really?
Do you know? Yeah.
You were a paper boy?
Yes, I was a paper boy. But I was proud to deliver the New York Times. I used to deliver the Boston Globe. That was my main account. And then I also had the Boston Herald, and I got a New York Times account. I was like, I'm delivering the New York Times. But it was too much of a pain in the ass because I lived in Boston, and like the routes were so wide. Like, I would have to drive like 7 miles to drop off 30 papers. It was too crazy. Whereas with Boston, I would go, this house gets it, this house gets it, that house doesn't, this house gets it. It was so many houses got the Globe. And then the Herald was like half the amount, and then the Times is like 1/8 the amount.
Oh, really? Even in Boston? Okay, that's
in
impressive.
Boston, a lot of people did get the Times, but you got a blue bag for the New York Times.
Oh.
The New York Times had a blue plastic bag. It was beautiful.
Something to throw up in after.
Yes, because, you know, I would have different clear bags for the Herald and clear bags for the Boston Globe, but the New York Times had a blue bag.
That's cool.
I would chuck that blue bag. And I drive by those houses, I'm like, those people are sophisticated. They're reading the New York Times.
But that's why they're reading the New York Times, so they can portray themselves sophisticated. That's what they're selling. It's not just the clickbait. It's that's a status.
Sure. Well, in 1987, when I was doing this, it was like a big deal. You know, it's like that was the only way you got the news. There was no internet back then, ostensibly.
Do you want to watch the rest of this Aaron Burnett thing?
I mean, you can, but it's the same shit.
Yeah.
The poor guy is it's a hostage video.
It is right, that's the thing.
Yeah. It's a hostage video with Don Lemon. It's a hostage video with Aaron Burnett. And I'm telling you, I know Sanjay Gupta as a person. He's a very good guy. Like, the hate that he's getting is undeserved. And meanwhile, I'm the subject of the disinformation, right?
Right.
I'm the guy who had the conversation with him. And when he's saying that he walked into the lion's den and he was worried that I was going to throttle his neck, that's his attempt at humor. He's a fucking neurosurgeon. These people are socially awkward people who are what their main focus of study is fixing human bodies, right? That's what he does. So he works as a medical correspondent for this major network, who, again, I don't even blame them. I don't blame Aaron Burnett. I don't even blame Don Lemon or fucking Brian Stelter. They are who they are. And I definitely don't blame Jeff Zucker. Jeff Zucker is like I said, I like that guy. If I saw him today, I'd give him a hug. He's a really good guy.
How is he a good guy if they're spreading all
Because
this?
he's managing at scale. It's fucking preposterous, this machine that they have, this CNN media empire trying to like collect all these news stories and filter
I'm
it.
sorry. So if you have an organization dedicated to spreading that in part is dedicated to spreading misinformation and leading to war, which means lots of people dying.
I'm gonna have to spark a joint.
Go for it. Someone's got to be the bad guy. They can't all be good, innocent people.
Let's blame the dead people. As soon as they die.
Colin Powell?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, sure. He did, misinform at best on the floor of the UN.
Who's the bad guy?
What do you mean?
Who's the worst bad guy? What's our real problem?
I think it's the corporate. The universities. That's for sure. The bad guys, the universities.
That is a problem.
Yeah, they're the
And
villains.
Why are they so bad?
Because that's where the poisoning starts. That's
Right.
when they teach everyone to kind of promulgate these demented ideas and spread them out through academia or through entertainment, through the corporate press.
Dude, the government has come in and glued my blunts. Look, they're all of a sudden they're on fire, and look, no smoke is coming out of them. This is how they're trying to stop me.
What happened there? What's going on?
I don't fucking know. I'm telling you, I've been gone for a week. I went elk hunting. I come back and my blunts don't work.
Where's Alex?
Yeah.
Get Alex on the phone. Why do my blunts work?
Alex is right down the street. We can go get him.
Better?
Yeah, this one's working.
But I'm surprised when you agree that things are going chaotic, things are getting out of control, and you're saying no one's to blame, no one's a bad person.
It's not that no one's to blame. It's that no individual is to blame, and it's not their intent to do things wrong. They get caught in a trap. You ever been in an argument with someone, like you hate someone, you don't like them, and then some way or another, either they reach out to you or you reach out to them, and then you become friends?
Yes.
Yeah, that's humans. This way of communicating that we're doing, where I'm talking shit about them and they're talking shit about me. Like, I'm a very friendly person. If I'm with those people in a room, we'd have a different perspective on each other.
Sure.
The problem is communication. And I think that's the problem with everything. Even the way CNN does what they do, like the only reason why they're allowed to do what they do is because no one's there to say, hey, this is not right. This is not accurate. This is not true. That's communication. They have no two-way communication. When you have one-way communication, you run the risk of being this person who disseminates disinformation or propaganda without even realizing what you're doing is wrong.
But they have plenty of two-way information because they're called in their crap all the time on social media. And they see it, and now they have choice to respond to it.
Right.
And they double down.
The thing is, like, they don't respect social media. They don't think of social media as being an accurate representation of what the people think. They think it's a bunch of assholes.
Sure, but just because someone's an asshole doesn't mean that what they're saying is inaccurate. Case in point.
You?
Yes, me. But the thing is, they lie. Here's a good example.
There we go. There we go.
God, I'm gonna get a contact
Take
high.
that in. Take it in.
You do not want to see me high.
I do want to see you high. How come you're scared?
What are
You said you're more
What are you,
mean.
Aaron Burnett? He's scared. You saw he's all
that's not
scared.
him.
He's scared.
That's Keith Oberman.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Keith
He's the
Oberman.
one who called me scared. He called me Mr. Afraid.
Yeah. Ooh, Mister. At least said Mister.
Oh my God. Little does he know, I like being afraid.
You can't look. I'm sure I'm sure he's a nice person, a friendly person, Jeff Zucker. But if he's seeing all this feedback and he's organizing his organization in the same way that has prior, that causes people to end up lying, that the buck has to stop somewhere.
Well, this is one instance where I can prove that it's a lie, and it's like it's in your face, and it's because it's me as a human being, and I'm aware of it. I don't. We have this this thought that a large percentage of what CNN and most mainstream media sites say are curated and cultivated, and there's a motivation behind it, and that it's not objective sort of, like, what's the gold standard of news today? I mean, my gold standard of news now is independent people.
Correct.
It's like Crystal and Sagar from Breaking Points. It's The Hill. It's like these independent sites. The New Hill's not bad.
They're very bad.
Really?
Yes, they're really bad. If you look at their tweets, they're really bad, and they're
I
dishonest.
don't read their tweets. I
Yeah.
just watch their show.
The show's different, but I'm talking about the publication. But are you saying that this idea that they construct a false reality is not an accurate idea?
I think it's pretty obvious that some of it is false. I just don't know how much of it is false.
I can give you one example I had queued up.
Okay.
We remember during the 2020 Democratic presidential debates, right? The moderate members of the party were looking for a non-Bernie alternative to Bernie, and Biden wasn't doing well. And Officer Harris started doing very well in the polls. Then there came
Officer Harris.
Officer Harris, oink oink. Then there became a Then there was the debate, and our girl Tulsi fried that pig just like a Hawaii knows how to do.
Bro, she sunk that battleship.
Right? So not only, and then all the clip reels had that. There was a series of articles when Kamala Harris dropped out of the presidential race. None of them mentioned her. They all pretended it wasn't a factor. If it wasn't a factor, why was it in the clip reels, and why was it making headlines? Jamie, if you go to fucktards.org.
What? That's a website?
Yeah, I have it. I also have ChristopherCuomo.com.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah. If you go to fucktards.org, you can see my tweet threads from 2019, article after article talking about Kamala Harris, and none of them mentioning Tulsi Gabbard. That is a lie. To say that Tulsi didn't nuke her in a postmortem of her campaign is dishonest and creating a narrative.
Isn't she the most fascinating, Tulsi? She's the most fascinating because she checks all the boxes, and yet they don't want to have anything to do with her. She's a woman of color, right?
Hindu.
She is a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
Check. She is a veteran who was deployed overseas twice in a medical unit, right? Experienced the horrors of combat and the consequences. Check. All those things. She's progressive. She's open-minded. She displays all the leadership qualities that you would ever want from a president. You want yourself a woman president? That's your girl right there.
I liked her a lot better when I thought she was going to do my show. So now I've gotten a little softer on Tulsi.
The way you can get with her is you have to do it through me, like I sneak you in on a show with her.
Oh,
that's the only way.
God, that'd be hilarious.
That would be the only way.
That would be absolutely hilarious.
I just want you to meet my friend Michael Malice.
I've met her.
I mean, on a show.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be hilarious.
She'd probably laugh. She would go with it, man. I'm telling you.
She's a surfer. Surfers know how to go with it.
I mean, I don't know her deeply and forever, but what I've met, the conversations I've had with her, she's a real person. I'm impressed. I don't know what the fuck it takes to be a president. I mean, I think you need a unicorn. You need a fake person, like to really do it the way everybody would be happy. It's a non-winning race.
You know what you need? You need Depends, hair plugs, and some dentures, and a whole lot of ice cream.
Not more, less.
My favorite Biden is angry old man, get off my lawn Biden.
Yeah,
that is when the mask drops and he starts yelling at people. It's hilarious.
Meanwhile, Jamie, I sent you this, right? You need to see this because after I said that to him, I think you should be vaccinated and then get COVID. Bam! Look at this article in the Courier Mail. If you're fully vaccinated against COVID, the next step to improve your immunity may be to actually catch the virus. Folks, listen. I was joking around with Sanjay, and we were drinking whiskey. This is another thing that Aaron Burnett didn't bring up in that clip.
Yeah.
We were drinking. Like, we're being silly. Where I was like, I think you should get COVID. Like, I don't really hope he gets COVID. I hope COVID gets eradicated. I hope they get therapeutics so that no one ever gets COVID again.
Yeah,
this is what I really hope. But when I was saying that, it's not... Like, when he's saying I should get vaccinated, and I'm telling him, well, there's a greater chance of complications if you've already had COVID and get vaccinated, and I have friends that have actually been vaccinated after COVID, and most of them were fine, but 3 of them that I know personally got fucking wrecked.
How wrecked? What happened?
Well, one of them started developing fluid in his body.
Holy shit. Oh, that's not a joke. Oh, okay.
Well, it's Craig Jones.
Okay.
He's one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts on the planet. He's an elite level athlete, like an Olympic class athlete. He was a part of the Danaher Death Squad, and now they formed a new jiu-jitsu team called the B Team. But when it comes to grappling, the world is so small, and there are no phonies. There's no phonies in terms of top-flight competition. He's at the top of the heap. He's as good as it gets. There's a couple of, like Gordon Ryan's, maybe he's the elite of the elite. Gordon Ryan's the elite of the elite. But there's like Gary Tonin, Craig Jones. There's so many guys. He's undeniable, right? So he gets a shot after he's already had COVID. He was doing a show. And they wanted him to do it. And he got pressure. He's like, all right, do it. His reaction was so bad. Like, he breezed through COVID. But having this, he was in bed for 11 days. He was wrecked. And he posted on his Instagram. He's got videos of him touching his body. And I don't know what had happened, but this part of this side effect, whatever it was, had filled the side of his body with fluid. They didn't know what the fluid was. They just told him to, like, come in if it gets worse, but you're just going to have to let your body reabsorb this fluid. So he's got this, like, bag of water. This is like a super lean athlete.
Yeah.
And he's got like, looks like a swimmer type dude, like a Michael Phelps type body.
Of course.
And then he's got this side of his body that's just like, look at this.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So there's a video where he touches it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's a video
It's
on
like
his
Total
Instagram.
Recall with that thing coming out of him.
It was weird, right? This is something that can happen. It's not normal, but it can happen. It's like, the thing is, like, this long-term data question. Everybody wants to pretend that that's not something that we should think about, when it's been something we should think about.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So this is his normal side of his body, and then the other side of his body.
COVID gives you dad bod.
Well,
the vaccine.
He doesn't know what it is, and no one knows what it is. But here's the other thing. Like, there are things that this vaccine is encased in. There's like what is it? Propene glycol. What is it? There's like a. But hold on a second.
Okay.
There's a thing that these little, that the actual vaccine itself is encased in, that people sometimes have allergies to, and it's in shampoo. It's a common chemical.
But those sulfites?
No, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Propene glycolate or some shit like that. But it's in shampoo, and it's also in some of the vaccines, and it's like a natural. It's like a part of how they made it. And some people have allergic reaction to it. Like Sam Harris had a really good point about this. He said, if you give 1 million people peanuts,
of course,
you're gonna have a lot of problems.
Of course, yes.
Right? He's
No
100% right. So this is not saying that you shouldn't do it. This is saying that this is just facts. These are facts we're talking about.
Yeah, it's Russian roulette with 100. You're going to spin it enough times, someone's going to get the bullet.
This guy didn't get the bullet, but that was one shot of a vaccine. He was supposed to take another shot after that because he was from Australia, so he's got to travel back and forth.
But how I'm still fixated on how you're saying these aren't bad people when they're trying to make.
Yeah, this is it. How do you say that? Polyethylene glycol. Polyethylene glycol. So that's the stuff. I know a guy who plays for the NFL. I've had a conversation with him about this. He's an elite athlete, and he is worried because he has an allergy to that stuff. Like, some people have an allergy to fucking, ragweed or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Dogs, cats.
Yeah, yes,
like,
of course.
Literally
everything.
Everything. My friend Brian, his mom, if she has a one of those Brazil nuts, dead. One nut will kill her like a bullet.
Don't look up what I used to call those in the 30s.
Okay.
Yeah. Whoever listening to this, don't Google this.
I would normally say, yeah,
don't Google
definitely
it. Trust
Google
me.
it. But since you don't want me to Google it, I'm not going to Google it. But so he's 100% right. But here's the thing: it's like there's an argument for covering all the bases, and this is not being discussed. What my problem that I'm having with the narrative is not that vaccines aren't effective, because they definitely are effective. They definitely seem to keep people from getting as sick. They definitely impart some protection. I think they're really important for older people. I think they make a big difference.
And peace of mind. That is useful for a lot of people. That's something that shouldn't be swept on the rug.
100%, because anxiety can exacerbate your immune system and fuck it all
of course.
up. But here's the thing. This is only one part of this giant puzzle. And my confusion on this, I understand where it's coming from, but my frustration is that it's really obvious that other things can be done to enhance our immune systems, and there's no promotion of that. Whether it's a change in diet, whether it's exercise, whether it's meditation, there's a lot of things that you can do to enhance your immune system, and none of those are being discussed. The only thing that's being discussed is things that are capable of generating money. That's it.
I don't think it's about money. I think it's about power, and I don't understand.
But why would you have power if you don't have money? Do you not watch Scarface, motherfucker?
I haven't.
Tell him, Jamie.
First you get the money.
Then you get the
sugar.
Then you get the sugar.
And
then you get the pussy.
See? It's Scarface, bro.
It's not a documentary.
What?
Unlike The Matrix.
It's a Brian De Palma movie written by Oliver Stone.
If I don't understand how you can say these aren't bad people when they are trying to internationally create a society where if you do not get this vaccine, which in many cases, like your MMA guy, have deleterious consequences, these people are going to be fired and can't go to a supermarket. That is not something. There's room for nuance in this, and they're trying to make it as if it's a black and white issue, which it is clearly not. As with anything medical.
I think you're right in that respect.
That's all I'm saying.
I think it's all about your intent. And I think most of these people, their intent is not to hurt people.
Their intent's to control.
I don't think that's true. I think control is a natural consequence in this instance of people that truly believe they're trying to do the right thing and they're attached to a machine that wants control. Ultimately,
it's not a machine. Someone's running that machine. It's not spontaneous.
But it's like a corporation, isn't it?
Sure,
but diffusion of responsibility.
But someone's setting the guidelines and someone's setting the protocol, someone's setting the narrative, and it's probably your boy Jeff Zucker. I don't know. Who is it if it's not him?
They believe it. This is the thing, man. You know, I remember when I was on a sitcom, and people would talk about the people that were making these shows. I remember this is like pre-internet conspiracy theory.
Sure.
The people that are making this show, the reason they call it programming, they're programming America. But then I meet all the people who make these shows, and what they're trying to do is make things that they would watch. It's a natural consequence of that by doing that, you can comfort people with narratives that are really familiar, like the $6 Million Man always wins.
CNN is not about comforting people. CNN is about getting people worked up.
You're right, but listen to me here.
And the other networks, too. I don't want to single them out here in this regard.
They create this stuff thinking this is what you're supposed to create. I think this is where we're getting confused. We think of it as like all these people that you went to college with and hung out with when you're young, and now they work for CNN, they're evil. That's not what's going on.
That's exactly what's going on. They go to college as normal kids, and then they leave as evil robots who are trying to destroy this country.
Okay, but let me ask you this. If they're a good person in college, what happens? What is going on that sucks someone into a situation? Let's not call it CNN. Let's call it ENN, the Evil News Network.
Sure.
If you go to Evil News Network and you start off as a good person like a Michael Malice,
No.
what turns you? What turns you into an evil person?
No. Okay. Good and evil I don't think are useful necessarily in this context. What I'm saying is you go to the university and you are punished if you do not follow the overweening philosophy, and you're rewarded if you are submissive and repetitive and are going to promulgate that philosophy once you leave the university system.
Right.
In the same way that everyone, if you go to McDonald's in California, you go to McDonald's in Massachusetts, you go to McDonald's in Florida, it's going to be the same food. That's not a conspiracy. That's an organization that is spreading forth, in this case, its product, which is burgers. The university system are of one mind in spreading an ideology, and that's why all those college graduates who end up at CNN or end up at MSC, New York Times, or in Hollywood, they're going to have the same worldview, and you're going to have this perception of unanimity. It's not a conspiracy. They're all just trained at the same places to believe certain things, and they were punished severely for not believing those things.
I agree with most of what you're saying, but do you think that there's an overlord? How do you think
No, it's decentralized.
It's
completely decentralized. What happened is over 100 years ago, people like Richard Ely, who started the American Economic Association, I talked about this in an old book of mine, Then You Write, basically his idea is we need to introduce the idea of a mixed economy into economics. This whole classical liberal thing isn't working for us. This is like in the 1910s, 1900s. As a result of that, there's an understanding. They talk about the university about creating the next generation of leaders. What that means, it's an Orwellian way of saying we're training people who are going to be the overclass, who are going to rule and manipulate the country for good reasons. And if you're a member of the overclass, you have stature, you have status. It's important for you to be perceived as a good, honest person, but I'm still a good, honest person above the rest of you. And when the rest of you start criticizing me and start being defiant, you're confused because you were trained to think you are in a position to rule over them and lead over them.
So is it a natural state where groups lead over other groups? Because
yes.
It seems like if you looked at the human race objectively, if you didn't attach yourself to culture, you looked at it objectively, like how many of these groups of humans form into this organization where one person rules with fear and force?
It's almost never, because he's got to have a bunch of people around him.
Right, but one person is usually the top.
Sure.
Like there is a pyramid structure.
Sure.
There's definitely a group of people around him. But they all turn out like that. Like none of them turn out to be like, let's all have no boss and everybody just be nice to each other, and we don't need cops. We don't fire people. We'll be people that are standing by for emergencies, things like EMTs.
But this is my whole anarchist worldview. That's why
I understand this. This is why I want to talk to you about this.
Sure.
Because if we could assure, like, look, here's a perfect example. If you, me, and Jamie lived on an island, we wouldn't need cops.
Correct. So
Right?
Lord of the Flies is one of the most fucked up books in history.
Yeah.
Because the premise of Lord of the Flies, which we're all taught in high school, it's still assigned reading, is if you had a bunch of kids stuck on a desert island, they'd start killing each other and be savages and it'd be violent, right? Because the idea, the Hobbesian idea is civilization is very thin. Underneath that, human beings are basically violent. That's not true. Human beings are basically animals, but we're benevolent social animals. And in fact, we don't even have to guess, because there was a real story. A bunch of kids did get shipwrecked on an island together. They were lived together for 18 months, and they got along so well. And in fact, when one kid broke his leg, they didn't crush his skull in. They made him they set his leg. They gave him a throne. They treated him like a king. And when they found these kids, they were all thriving and getting along well together. So this is a very big lie that in the reason Survivor, that show, the reason that people have to fight, because they have to vote each other off.
Right.
But if you watch the show, the first thing is, let's put together a tent to live in. Let's gather food. Everyone works together very well. And the threat of violence is not really there. It's a complete myth.
But I absolutely see what you're saying. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't point out that people vary widely.
100%.
So
and you have to worry about the murderers and rapists.
You could get the wrong guy on an island, and then you have a slaughter fest, and people start cannibalizing people. All it would take is the wrong guy to kill one of the people and to keep everybody in fear, and then everybody would plot to kill that guy, and he would try to kill you when you're sleeping, and then the next thing you know, it's a terrible story. Or you could have Lord of the Flies turned out the way you're saying, where the kids get together and they help each other and the kid breaks his leg and everybody comes together. That's possible too. But it depends on the humans.
No.
There's people that you're not going to fix in a fucking traumatic, dangerous situation. Like there's sociopaths and crazy fucks out there and ex-cons. You're not going to fix them.
They're politicians. That's the political class.
But
I'm not joking.
But humans, but any human, like you could run, like if you get 1,000 humans, one of them is going to be out of his fucking mind.
Correct.
And if you are on a boat with that guy, and that boat gets shipwrecked, and then you realize that no one is in charge, and that motherfucker could just run shit and tell you that he eats all the coconuts, and you got to fight him and he's bigger than you, and you're like, fuck. But that's how it goes down. It's not always the guy gets his leg broke and everybody lives together. Human beings vary wildly.
Yeah, but you're describing politics. You're describing politicians. Basically, they're that guy who convinces everyone else to stop cooperating and stop being benevolent and to think of each other tribally and to turn one group against another. And they're aided and abetted by this by people in the corporate press who want us to have a binary worldview that you're either for vaccines or you're for Trump.
Yeah, well, I think it's more convenient to argue against a binary worldview.
Yes, of course, because all I have to do is disprove the other, and therefore by default I win.
Yeah, and it ignores nuance and ignores what it means to be a person.
But that's all these people in the corporate press. They all ignore nuance. The whole point of it is everyone has to get the vaccine, even children. And if you have any questioning about this, like what about this MMA guy, the circumstances, well, you're an anti-vaxxer. It's a lie.
It's a weird one too, right? Because it's one where you're propping up these corporations that you had been deeming evil forever. Like if people, like this is no judgment call, it's just an analysis of the way human beings look at pharmaceutical companies. For decades, if you talked about pharmaceutical companies like sociopaths and that all they want to do is like sell these drugs regardless if they kill people, people would agree with you. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Course.
Those same people now put all their trust.
But Joe, don't you get it? A corporate journalist is the same as a tobacco executive. They're selling a deadly product, and the battle is won when the average American regards them as the same. And that's what they're doing.
The same thing, that diffusion of responsibility that we talked about. You have a big corporate. So corporations. There was an article that was written. I'm trying to remember who wrote it. It was a while ago, and it was saying corporations are psychopaths.
Yeah, sociopaths.
Sociopaths, yeah. And then they laid out what a sociopath is and what a sociopath is rather, and what a corporation is. And like, there's a thing where it's not a person anymore, but it has all this power. It seems to be
And
like it's always
soullessness.
going to try to get ahead. And if things are always going to try to get ahead and they're not going to take into consideration the way it makes people feel, because you're not thinking about feeling anymore when you deal with numbers. Right, so you have a corporation that's battling other corporations. What are you battling for? Market share, stock prices.
Sure.
There's numbers. Like, numbers are not feelings, but we operate on feelings. So if we are part of a corporation, then we're a part of a thing that doesn't take into consideration what it means to be us, be feeling.
But this has historically been the strongest aspect of the left, which is skepticism of corporate America,
Right.
and understanding that giant corporations do not care about mom and pop or you, that they are there to get money, and that they have no choice
Yes.
because they have a duty to their shareholders to make as much profit as possible. And this whole corporate responsibility is often a good veneer for this. But now it's like we have to be on our knees blowing Pfizer because they're saving us all. And and people on the left were saying this with a straight face.
Well, it's crazy because what it is it's great evidence that this idea of parties is bullshit.
Yes.
And that human beings, we operate on this really wide range. It's a giant spectrum. And we should have like agreements of like how things go and what's important and what's not important. And we should talk about these things, but we have to recognize first and foremost that we're instinctively tribal.
Sure.
It's a part of our DNA and it's fucking us up. Because we have this need to, if you have anxiety, if you have a problem, we have this need where there's another person out there who is your enemy. And you think about them. And whether you call them a Republican or whether you call them libertarians,
Right.
those people are your enemy. And if you're freaking out all the time thinking of this other group of humans that probably shares way more in common with you than they don't. Like when it really gets down to politics, like what does everybody really care about in life? They care about their loved ones. They care about finances. They want to make sure we don't go to war. They want to make sure that, soldiers are protected and the streets are safe. Like
I don't think they want soldiers to be protected. Then why they send them in harm's way?
I mean, they want them to be okay, even if they send them in harm's way.
I don't think they care at all.
You don't think who cares at all?
Like the Liz Cheneys.
I think they're detached from it. I think you have a good point.
I think
like
Liz Cheney
wants
you to send you her body parts because that gets her off.
Well, they definitely can justify, right?
Of
They
course.
find a way to justify military actions that are not well thought out and good people die.
Yeah.
And they
bad
die
people
under-
die. I don't want bad people to die either.
Well, I think a lot of folks die under false premises,
Yes.
right? False pretenses.
Yes.
That was the thing that keeps getting brought up.
There's a book called The Nurture Assumption, and she makes the point in that book that humans define themselves by opposition. So if you have a bunch of kids and a bunch of grown-ups, the kids will perceive themselves as kids. But once the grown-ups leave, it divides into boys and girls because we find ourselves, who I am is I'm not that.
Right, that makes sense. And then, look, there's people that will form into groups like Mac versus PC. And they'll shit all over
You
Mac
shit all over
users.
me because I had an Android last time I was on here.
I will continue to do that, even though I also have an Android. I have a Samsung, a Galaxy
I got
Ultra,
an iPhone for my birthday in
S21
July.
Ultra.
I still haven't switched, and I apologize to Jess.
Listen, I like them both, but I like fucking with people. And I like when people get on.
I hate fucking with people.
I know you
It's
do.
the worst.
You're so against that.
I hate it. It's my worst thing.
There's no greater troll that's ever lived than you.
Oh, Andy Kaufman.
I feel like you're the best.
Andy Kaufman is better than me.
I think you might be a little funnier than Andy.
Holy shit! This is literally the biggest compliment I've
I'm
ever
an
gotten in
Andy
my life.
Kaufman fan and everything, but
I have a signed picture of him, and I haven't hung it out in my house yet, but I'm going to.
you have a lot of larger body of work to draw from. You do.
He died very young.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
he also didn't have the internet. If Andy
That's
Kaufman
true.
had the internet, oh my God, could you imagine his podcast?
oh god,
It would be crazy. He'd
that'd
probably be like reading F. Scott Fitzgerald.
You know what it'd be like? It'd be like Norm Macdonald's.
Andy Kaufman might have done something really weird. Do you remember when Stephen Wright was writing a book one tweet at a time?
No, he did.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
He's
Stephen
hilarious.
See if that. I don't know what he ever did with that. I mean, it's exhausting to try to remember what you just read, 12
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
ago from this.
Well, it's like those old comic strips. Like Dick Tracy takes 6 months to fight Flat Top, and it's like this. You guys have been in this car since January. It's July.
But he wrote a book. I think it was one tweet at a time. It's like a few sentences. 140 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it was a whole book. Which is like, Jesus, imagine you're just so lazy
Well,
you only
he-
write 140 characters a day.
I only write a page a day when I'm writing.
But it's not even that he's lazy. It's just it was a fun idea.
He
for
had that
him.
joke about like I was reading this great murder mystery called The Dictionary. Turns out the zebra did it. Like that is fucking brilliant.
You know, the problem with those guys is, from a writing perspective, they're all non sequiturs. So it's so hard to put together your bits, and it's so hard to know what you said already.
Yeah.
Like if you do 3 shows a night, which is what we used to do. We used to do like Saturday night, 3 shows a night. If you did 3 shows a night, by the time you get to that 3rd show, you're like, what show is this? What have I said already?
Do you know who the best of that is? Is Neil Hamburger, who's my favorite
Oh,
comedian.
Neil Hamburger's brilliant.
I absolutely.
What a character.
Yeah, he's like a Tony Clifton figure, basically.
Yeah, he opened up for Louis once at the Improv.
Oh
I
my-
got a
did they
chance
boo
to
him?
watch him. No, they loved him.
Okay.
They loved him. It was really good. He was on. He was on that night. But
s-
the character is so preposterous.
Oh, yeah.
So over the top asshole.
I saw him in LA
clueless
once at
comedian.
the Echo or the Satellite, I forget what it's called. And ahead of me on the table were a couple on a date, and I see the girl who's basic as fuck turn to her date, and she goes, "What is this?" And like that was the great. Wait, this is the best Neil Hamburger moment. So he was opening for Tenacious D in Ireland or England, right? Sorry
wow.
for confuse the two. They didn't know who he was. They're booing the fuck out of him. And he goes, "All right. Do you guys want to see Tenacious D? Do you guys want to hear your heroes of mine, Tenacious D? Okay, if I do this next joke and you don't boo me, I'll bring out Tenacious D." And he goes, what did Santa Claus get Paris Hilton for her birthday, for Christmas? Well, he raped her. So like... Two people laugh. Hold on. And then he goes, "Oh, thanks for that reaction. I guess I'll do an encore." And he stayed there for another 10 minutes. Is this it?
Oh my
Holy
God,
shit.
play this.
You realize if anybody throws a bottle, you'll get ejected, and then you won't get to watch those drunk addicted
Yeah.
They're all saying off,
yeah.
off. Wow.
So
Look at
he-
those animals. That's the worst way to do comedy, by the way.
What
People
is?
standing up.
Oh, yeah.
I realized that when I went to see Doug Stanhope once. It was a good friend of mine. I'd never seen a show where I was in the audience standing up. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. I was like, I'll never have a show like this again. Because after a while, like your back hurts, your fucking
You're
neck
looking around.
Hey, your feet were hurting. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
concrete. You're standing.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Shout out to the waitresses out there, all walking around on fucking concrete all
trying
day.
to get elbow their way through people.
Dude, some of those gals, when I watch them at the Comedy Store, I'm like, the fucking poise to carry a tray of drinks and walk through drunks, a maze of stumbling drunks, and the sheer number that are successful versus like crashes, like that's amazing.
What have you talked to Chappelle about all the shit he got for that
Yeah,
last
a little
special?
bit. We texted back and forth. It's he's just riding out the storm. Like
Yeah.
he's not a homophobic or
Of course not,
transphobic
yeah.
person. He makes fun of himself. There's a bit in that special about him getting molested and jerking off in a man's face.
Yeah.
I mean, this is or coming in a man's face. That look, it's fun. It's just making jokes. That doesn't mean hate. This is the problem with today. If you don't have an enemy, you make an enemy. And this is a real problem with people. We would look for things. Like if there's some people that really hated you and they were the enemy, people that just joked around about stuff wouldn't be thought of as the enemy. It's like, and as the level of people truly hate you drops, you start looking for equilibrium in what you're upset about. And so now you're more upset about jokes. Now silence is violence. And now, you can't just be this, you have to be that. And it becomes this like weird control level where what people start to conflate. When you start equating jokes with like real feelings. Well, they're not the same thing.
Well, I don't think that's what it is. I think they're trying to put different individuals or groups on a pedestal and kind of make them sacred. And when you have someone comes along and knocks them off that pedestal, all of a sudden you're trying to undo what I'm trying to do, which is to make this person holy. And now you are my enemy because your agenda is the opposite of mine.
Fully agree. I was getting to
Sorry.
that.
Okay.
No, it's okay. You're right though, 100%. But it's these ideas that you can't make fun of are dangerous. They're not good for anybody. They're not good for the people to hold those ideas, whether it's about who you are or what you do. The idea that no fun can be had about any of this is crazy, because the idea is that then all fun is done maliciously and out of hate. And we know as friends that is just not true.
Well,
Like,
all my fun is malicious.
it's also funny. Like
also
if
is funny.
if you and I were fucking with each other and we're saying ridiculous shit to
Right.
each other, we would both be smiling
Yes, 100%.
while we did it. This is what roast battle's all about.
Right.
My friend Brian Moses. This is what a lot of what Kill Tony's about. Like, it's fun. There's fun in making fun of each other, and we have to accept that.
Yeah.
And then I need to know your real feelings about gay people, your real feelings about trans people, your real feelings about all religions and all races and all ethnicities. But we got to be able to joke around about each other. And if you get down to Dave Chappelle's real feelings, he's a lovely person. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. He loves everybody. He's not a hateful soul. He's beyond jealous. He's just a guy who loves this art form called stand-up comedy, and he tries to do his best navigating through this world of talking shit about things and saying outrageous things that get huge laughs, or placating really sensitive groups that feel like they're in a protected class. And then the other people that pile onto that also feel like this is a protected class. And they equate any jokes with hate. And this is where they're wrong. Like, I'm telling you that Dave Chappelle does not hate anyone or anything.
But
he's not that person. His jokes are just that. They're just jokes. And if you really pay attention to what he's saying, whether you agree with him or not in some of his jokes, like whether or not they're funny, just really pay attention to the overall message. It is in no way transphobic. It's just not.
But this is a way for low-status people to try to compete with Dave and try to get on his level. Because if I'm some kind of rando journalist and now I take down Dave Chappelle or Joe Rogan or somebody else, this elevates my status and my rank and takes him down a peg, and that's useful for me from an evolutionary point of view.
You're absolutely right. You can't be denied. If you're a person and you're looking up at a guy like Dave Chappelle, he's at the highest of high levels.
Right.
You have to, you have to also equate that in anything you think about when you think about a guy like Dave Chappelle. But then you also have to realize that the problem is in listening to everybody, you're going to get a certain group of people that want people to not be able to work anymore. They want to like stop you. They want to pull things down. They want to change like what's available. You don't have to like it. Like, here's the thing about Dave Chappelle. Look, he's clearly the most popular comedian on planet Earth.
Right.
He's number one. He's clearly one of the greatest comedians that's ever lived. Clearly. So obviously a lot of fucking people like him. And what you want is people to not have access to him.
Right.
When you have options, you don't have to like it, but if you want Netflix to take it down and you say it's hateful, this is an incorrect way to do this. If you want to make your own special about what was wrong with Dave Chappelle's
Or
special,
go on YouTube with your monologue like Keith Olbermann. Yeah, exactly.
go for it, and good luck to you. And maybe you'll have a point that person that you're criticizing can take into consideration and go, maybe I could do better at this. Because if something does bother you, if someone says something ridiculous about you, and it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't have any effect on you. The things that bother people are things that are at least slightly accurate.
But I think this just kind of speaks to what we were talking about earlier, how they're trying to have there be, in the same way how intentionally or not, it's trying to push everyone to be an Amazon or a Walmart customer. They are trying to have everyone only consume media through pre-approved sources.
Right,
and
that's a problem.
If you're not reading the New York Times or CNN or the Wall Street or the Washington Post or whatever, that means you're doing something wrong. So this is what they're doing, that process of elimination, by trying to funnel people into certain outlets that they themselves can control, and that creates uniformity and cohesion among the population.
I think the problem is you create a journalistic version of the Streisand effect. I think that's the problem.
Well, it's encouraging people to watch Chappelle.
Yeah, it's encouraging for sure. That special's giant.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And all the controversy's only been good. And then when people watch it...
And the controversy's bullshit, because it's
bullshit.
not like he's Howard Stern back in the day.
Well, it's not only that. What he's saying in this, he's telling a story about a real person that he was close with that died, that became friends with him through comedy. There's a whole story to it. I don't want to give it up because I think you should watch the special. I toured with Dave. We did a lot of shows together. This is his story that he had about this person that he loved that died. It's not a transphobic story, but there's jokes in there. And in those jokes, he's poking fun at everything, including himself. I mean, this is a part of his act, it's part of any comic's act. Like, there's a lot of it that's just designed to be funny while he's telling a story. It's one of the things that Dave does so well. He's like, he tells these stories and he figures out a way to get his point across while being really funny. But when you're going to be really funny, you're going to make fun of yourself, you're going to make fun of other people, you're going to make fun of everything. But that doesn't equal hate.
And that's not how men demonstrate camaraderie. Like, coming from Brooklyn, you have the Jewish guy, you have the Italian guy, you have the Puerto Rican guy, you have the black guy. Everyone's busting each other's chops, and that's how you symbolize that you're comfortable with each other.
Yes.
I'm safe with you by saying things that would get me in trouble in other contexts, and I trust you enough to know that you're not going to use that in a bad way, that we're all bros here.
Dude, I had a podcast the other day with Tony Hinchcliffe and Brian Redband.
I have to meet Tony.
Oh, you've never met Tony?
I've never met Tony.
Tomorrow night, what are you doing?
I guess I'm hanging out with Tony.
Yeah, we'll go to Vulcan Gas Company.
Okay.
We're working together tomorrow night.
Okay, perfect.
So,
the two biggest bitches in Austin, me and Tony.
He'll fight you. The Kill Tony thing is like Tony Hinchcliffe and David Lucas have been friends forever. David Lucas is this hilarious up-and-coming comic. And every time David Lucas does like 1 minute of new comedy every week on Kill Tony. So he goes up, he does stand-up, and then Tony and him have this back and forth where they shit on each other.
Yeah.
And it's fucking magic. Because when Dave shits on Tony, Tony's laughing hard.
Of course.
When Tony shits on Dave, Dave's laughing hard. But that is, in a lot of people's eyes, hate. That's hate speech. But this is what's wrong with this criticism of Dave Chappelle.
Scott Adams made that point that he thinks, like, I think it was 25% of the population has no sense of humor. When I did Lex's 200th episode, we introed the episode with me dressed like him, and I did my Lex Friedman impression. But that's me making fun of him, but it was such a brotherly embrace.
Yeah. I mean, be careful of people who won't laugh at themselves.
Yeah, or tell you that's not funny. Laughter is not a thought; it's a reaction.
Or not tell you about failure.
Yeah,
that's like friends that have never had their heart broken, friends that have never failed, where they just like literally wanted to just jump off a bridge.
Oh yeah,
all those. That's important. I need to know that you're going through the same weird experience that I am.
Dude, I just had like the most traumatic experience, and this is gonna be making me the butt of a joke, and I don't fucking care. I'll tell it. Okay. I just moved to Austin. I paid for the exclusive truck because I have a lot of shit.
Exclusive truck?
Meaning sometimes they have the truck where they like move the boxes from one truck to another, like in Maryland. So sometimes things get lost. I'm like, I want you to drive straight from New York to Austin.
One truck.
Yeah, one truck.
Okay, got it.
As I've told you on the first time I was on this show many years ago, I have a denim collection. Okay, 30 pairs, one for every day of the week, every other month. I'm going through all the boxes. I have 100 boxes, all my shit. The denim's gone. And then I'm like, the thing is, when you lose something that means a lot to you, even though it's just sentimental, and the thing is with raw denim, it takes years to break them in and so on and so forth. There might be an Excel sheet involved that I'm not going to talk about.
Right.
But the thing is, when they've taken that, you have to wonder, what else have I missing? So every day when I was unpacking these boxes, I was like, what? And I'm not going to remember what's gone, because it's like, I have what I have, but I don't remember what was left in Brooklyn. And last week, I was opening up this wardrobe box, which was as tall as me, 7/8 empty, and under some frames was all my denim. It was like pulling a sofa out of a wallet, and I almost cried. But it was so stressful for that month of like waking up every morning and just dreading unpacking.
You want to talk about first world problems?
That is the first
world
problem.
Dude who talks for a living can't find his broken in pants.
Yeah. And I found them. So
there's guys out there digging into the side of a mountain in the Congo with a stick to try to get the minerals to use to make your iPhone. And people are listening to that on that iPhone to you talking about you couldn't find your pants.
I know. I only had one pair, the one I brought on my flight. But I found them, so it worked out.
Regular pants are bullshit. They really are. You need to get yourself some stretchy jeans.
Stretchy? Well, I have a few stretchy pairs.
Why are you laughing?
No, I wanted. If he's got a denim collection, his
How
reaction
do you not
to
have
some stretch?
You don't have like RevTown jeans? You have any of those?
RevTown? I've never heard of that.
It's the people made Under Armour. They made these jeans. I could head kick you in this.
That's a cool story. But I've got these are made with Japanese persimmon tannin.
I don't want anything from another country. I want things from America. God damn it! Did you know that canvas is what the original?
Duck jeans.
The original jeans were made out of hemp. That's what they used to make like durable clothes out of.
But they still make like canvas jeans now. It's like
Yeah.
an old-timey hipster thing.
Canvas was made with hemp.
Yeah.
That's why it's canvas is like comes from the cannabis plant. Like Mona Lisa was that was literally painted on hemp.
Oh,
which is
really?
so
I didn't know.
Yeah. Hemp was responsible for most paper before they figured out how to do when they figured out how to make paper out of like regular trees. It's so shitty in comparison. You ever have a piece of hemp paper?
No.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
Really?
It's the weirdest thing ever. It's like we're used to this. We're used to
Right.
like a child could rip it.
Yeah.
Hemp paper is not rippable. I mean, it's
Oh,
rippable.
it's like almost like a fabric?
But it's difficult.
Okay.
It's like you
Like a t-shirt
whoa,
or something?
It confuses
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like I don't know what. Let's Google this.
Well, it's also kind of like
how much stronger is hemp paper than regular wood pulp paper?
Well, it's also kind of like money, right? You can put money through the wash and it doesn't get ruined. But if you
What is that made out of?
I don't know, but if you put paper through the wash, it gets destroyed. Obviously,
Right. What the fuck is money?
I
made
don't
out of?
I don't know if we're allowed to know.
Isn't it crazy that like someone somewhere has the ability to make a printed thing? Like talk about like a real problem in the design of your currency. Like all you have to do is have a machine that can make that. Hold on a second. Federal Reserve,
Linen and cotton.
25%
Oh, it's linen,
linen,
okay.
75% cotton for the Federal Reserve notes. Oh, linen. 75%. I guess the linen makes it more durable. Currency paper has tiny red and blue synthetic fibers of various lengths and evenly distributed throughout the paper. It would take 4,000 double folds forwards and backwards to tear a banknote. Wow, 4,000. So it's really durable, right? What's to stop someone from making that?
Well, that's the big one.
That's
thing.
the big thing.
That's what North Korea does. So like
They make American money?
Yeah, there's a big because there are these machines called I forget what they're called. They're made in Switzerland to print American money, and apparently North Korea. There's some dispute whether they have this. Are like the world's best at making counterfeit U.S. dollars because they're making real U.S. dollars on the machines that we use.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So this was a thing.
North Korea's fucking us by making more of our own money. And
Well,
making
I
it-
mean, not as much as we're making. I mean, the Federal Reserve's been printing that shit. The inflation which is a tax on poor people, is through the roof.
Well, clearly you don't understand that the government loves you and they're just trying to make everything run smooth.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
communist. Wow, look at that. This is why they're made. How North Korea made the perfect counterfeit $100 bill. Well, your book, Dear Reader, is a fucking amazing insight into North Korea. And, you know, when it came out and you and I first talked, I didn't know. I just knew it was fucked up over there.
Yeah.
I didn't know the extent of it. Between talking to you and Yeonmi Park, I can't believe that this isn't that more people don't understand that this is like when people worry about where the state of any country is going, they always assume, well, we're good people, things aren't going to get bad. Okay, but you got to realize that we're just human beings. If you're not a racist, you agree that all human beings are essentially, we vary in different ways and sizes, but we're just all human beings.
There's a nature that's universal.
Yeah, and the potential is universal. But if there's a group of people in 2021 that are living like the people are living in North Korea that are under the grip of that government, that's possible anywhere.
Yes.
With the wrong things, with the wrong set of circumstances, the wrong events taking place, the wrong people get into power. Just like you could get shipwrecked with the wrong person and wind up in a fucking horror movie, or you can get shipwrecked with the right people and wind up in a beautiful movie.
Well, that's why I went there, because, you know, being born in the Soviet Union, by that time the Soviet Union was nowhere near as bad as it had been back in the day. But this was my only chance to see what my family could have gone through, you know, and they have concentration camps. Like being Jewish, I could have been in a camp in Eastern Europe very easily. So to see what it was like for my family in a parallel universe, you know, is very eye-opening. And
It's
I still
totally
think about
possible,
it every day.
man. When you see, and this is not. I hesitate even bringing this up because I don't want to get taken out of context. But our positions, when it comes to like just ideas about mandates and vaccines and how we masks or no masks, just these weird sort of like tribal issues, these things that happen with people. When we start looking at each other as the other, as someone who's is less than, when we have power over the other, when we want to control the situation because we're the good people and we want to do it by any means necessary, there's a slope the reason why the founding fathers wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights the way they did is they're like, okay, there's some patterns that we need to mitigate.
Yeah.
Some real patterns of human behavior. And we got to make sure, first of all, you can say whatever the fuck you want, because I can't know who's right unless both people talk. If two people talk and I get to figure it out, and we get to debate back and forth, and if we're honest about it, we can figure out who's right. But if you can say that person can't talk because I'm right, now I'm in the dark.
Yeah, I got in trouble for this tweet. I didn't get ratioed because I said if you replace the word coronavirus with Jews, all of a sudden the behavior of the 1930s German population becomes eerily similar. And what I meant by that is we all wring our hands about how the Holocaust happened. How did the Germans go from a normal people to within 4 years being like comfortable with or turn their blind eye to genocide? And what we're seeing with the corona, and we got a long ways to go before it's Nazi Germany. Let me be clear. I'm not trying to get everyone to freak out, but how eager people are to be informants. After Germany reunified, they opened up the Stasi files. The Stasi were their secret police. It was the biggest surveillance society, other than, I think, perhaps North Korea, that the world had ever seen. And you could find out who spied on you and who turned you in. And what they found out, it wasn't that like, they got to your wife and we got the wife to snitch on Joe. People were eager to snitch on their neighbors because they felt that they were doing the right thing, and it gave them a sense of power and a sense of status.
It's probably fun too.
It's
Get a little adrenaline rush from making that phone call.
And then you see the cops show up to that person's house. I made this happen. I have power.
Look at that commie.
Yeah.
Cuff him. Take him away. Protect my children.
Right. So when you see, we talk about human beings, a lot of people are very eager to drop that dime and pick up that phone call, because then they would turn in on Anne Frank and then they'd boast about it on social media.
For sure. Yeah, you're definitely right. It's too easy. That's part of the problem. It's too easy. And because I think there's like a state that we need to reach as an organism, as a human organism. There's a state we need to reach physically where we feel like we're in homeostasis, where everything's balanced out. And most of us don't get there. Most of us, we don't ever achieve that state physically. And so we have this compounding anxiety from not achieving that state physically that piles into the way we look at it, like mentally, like the way we view the world, the way we think about things. That gets more anxiety ridden because you haven't taken care of the needs of the body. So it's not balanced.
Well, there's also an enormous psychological incentive to be part of the in-group.
Yes.
Because at the very least, like if we're going down, we're all going down together.
Yep.
I'm part of the in-group. The numbers are in my favor. So I might as well, I can compete on the metric of obedience. If I have nothing to offer, at least I can follow orders and be a good person in that sense.
Shout it out so other people agree with me. And all the other cowards go, yeah, let's get him.
Yes.
Doesn't have a mask.
Yeah. So H.L. Mencken said the average man does not want to be free. He merely wants to be safe. And he absolutely nailed it.
I feel like we should pause all science until we could figure out if masks work.
I love it. We gotta stop the science until we figure out what's going on.
Stop all your experiments. All you scientists. Please tell me if masks work, because I don't understand both sides. I don't understand how it doesn't work a little. If you have a fucking thing across your face and you're breathing into it, that means like it's got to hit some shit before it goes out into the world. All right? Right? There's something. I know there's little particles, but don't some of them get stuck in the cotton? What's the number? Is the number like it only protects you by 10%? Just tell me the fucking truth. Tell me what's going on. Get some sick people, get them coughing, put a fucking thing out there to catch the sickness.
But they do that with the heat vision cameras when they
No. I want you to pay people who have COVID to put a fucking mask on and cough into a bag. I want to know what's coming out of there.
Cough into another person.
No. You should have like a thing that catches how much COVID's coming out. Tell me how these fucking things work. Because what if it's 0? Or what if it's 100%? What if like if you're near a person, if we realize like cotton doesn't work, but this shit, you make hemp masks or whatever the fuck it is. Like this one works 100%. Like stop. Well, then you'd be an asshole if you didn't wear a mask.
Sure.
But right now we're like, does it work?
Well, you're not going to be an asshole.
We don't know if it works, but we know how to send photos through the sky. We know how to take a video and send it to fucking New Zealand through the sky.
The boxes say that the masks don't work. It says it has a warning label that this mask is not efficacious against COVID. The N95 masks are the ones that work. And when this first started happening, Fauci...
Wait a minute. What boxes are you getting that say they don't work against COVID? I'm not getting any boxes that say that.
Yeah, the boxes on the regular mask say this is not
I
effective.
get my shit from Amazon. They just come in little plastic baggies.
This is another meme where they says, Karen, read the box. If you look that up, it's just...
It says it doesn't work for COVID?
Yes. Now, that could be a cover your ass thing, that they legally have to say this.
But it is weird that you can wear them in a place where you have to wear a mask.
Yes.
Like, you can kind of wear a bandana if you're an asshole and you want to go get brunch.
Do you want to be a real asshole? There's a website called minimally-compliant-mask.com, which I used to wear to the gym because it looks like you're wearing a mask, but you're not wearing a mask. It's just cheesecloth.
Let me see what that looks like. Minimally-compliant.com.
Sure. Minimally compliant mask.
Jamie will get it. Jamie will get it.
This is what it looks like.
Oh, you got it with you.
Yeah,
Can I feel that?
Of course.
Oh,
Yeah.
that feels like a mask. That's not a mask?
It's you can breathe perfectly through it.
I would stick my face over it, but what does it say about tyranny? Mask for people who like oxygen and hate tyranny.
Yeah.
It's true. That's what's crazy. What's crazy is we're in this place where, like, saying something like that sounds nuts, but it is actually true. And it's not true because it's evil to wear a mask. It's true because when you let people control people, that shit is addictive. That shit is very addictive.
Because humans are status-oriented animals, and now I have power over you. Why would I cede that power?
No, it would never happen. You have to take it. That's why usurpers exist.
Whether by design or not, a lot of very evil people are getting a lot of useful information about how much a population is going to put up with.
You're 100% right.
It's not even a question.
Not even a question.
And I think when you're a politician and you're trying to save a population for something that's largely out of your control, you have to keep doubling down because you can't just say, well, I'm powerless against this because I'm going to get voted out because the next asshole is going to say, I'm going to fix this.
We have a problem when we have these primal instincts and these human reward patterns that existed to make us survive against invasions of foreign mercenaries and barbarians and shit. And these things are like fully ingrained in what it means to be a human being. And we apply them when they don't exist. We start applying them to other people that like vary from us slightly. Like there's people on the left that are attacking people that are in the center. You know, and they agree like if you had a chart of things that people in the center agree with and people on the left agree with, it's God, you're gonna get really close.
There's a huge percentage of the population that thinks that if we decrease the size of our military, China's gonna invade us. Like invade, not like places where we have an interest, but invade America. And it's like, how would that even be possible? Even if our military was half the size, that we wouldn't see it coming? It's nonsensical. But it used to be Russia, now it's China.
Well, you know, China's a little more interesting than Russia because they have a far greater economic power than Russia ever had. What China has is this unusual integration with capitalism and communism.
Right.
That's never existed before on mass scale like this. Also in the world of the internet. Like it's a wild thing that they're able to do. But what China just recently launched, they found out that they launched a supersonic weapon.
Yeah, I just saw that on Drudge, yeah.
That's a low orbit.
They said it's a spacecraft.
Whoa.
Yeah, they're saying it's not a missile. It's
Holy
a spacecraft.
shit.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
It's a super fast spacecraft. Is what it is. I mean, if you imagine a spacecraft that moves like a missile, a supersonic missile, but it's a spacecraft, and it's they whatever it was, it did low orbit speeds at phenomenal, or low orbit launches at phenomenal speeds, where it shook the people that examine military capabilities. They didn't understand this. They didn't see it coming. They're like, holy shit. So they've obviously been developing something. Like their position is like, if you read anything about China's view or you talk to people about China, the way they view the world, it's so unique that their business and their government is completely intertwined.
Yeah.
Like some unstoppable hive of communism and capitalism all interwoven together where one feeds off another.
Yeah.
And they have immense power because of that. It's like if you were just looking at it as an organism, there was no consequences, you'd be like, whoa, that's fascinating.
But there's also immense costs. 'Cause
Immense costs.
it's not easy to maintain this kind of unnatural structure over a population that large and that geographically disparate.
Also, that kind of world discourages creativity.
Of course.
Discourages like freedom and like you don't get a Janis Joplin in China.
Right.
You know, you need freedom for a certain amount of art and a certain amount of innovation. You need freedom. So what they do is they just copy shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is wild.
It's hilarious,
because they
yeah.
get the benefit of that, and then they grow bigger and stronger. Did you see that Sagar and Crystal had a video that they put up about this company that what did they make over there? They made something in China.
Look at his face. They make a lot of things. Soy sauce.
No, it was something to do with AI. It was some sort of component of these super advanced computer systems. And they went into business with China, and they had this deal. And all of a sudden, they tried to remove the Chinese guy from the company. They're like, "Hey, we gotta like separate from you guys. Like, what are you doing with our intellectual property?" And then they cut off communication. And China just reopens this company because they bought like 51% of the company,
Yeah.
and they just take their internet ideas, like whatever their thing about AI was, whatever they actually designed there, and then they open it up in China under a different name. They just changed the name, like we own it. So Sagar did a whole piece on it calling the heist of the century. It is fucking fascinating because you realize that these people are like, hey, we're gonna get rich, Bob. I'm telling you, you're gonna get a brand new jet. And these guys start thinking about money. Woo! They're thinking about cocaine and all that cash they're gonna have, and just flying to the Amazon.
Again with the Scarface. They think they're gonna get the women.
Did you find it?
No, I believe I know the company or the name of it, but I can't. I'm trying to.
But just go to the Breaking Points page. It's the crime of the century.
But they're also,
I think that's what he said. That's what he called it.
But it's also the kind of thing like you knew it was a snake when you picked it up. Like
right.
You knew what you were getting yourself in bed with. I have very little sympathy. You know these people slice your throat and take your kidneys.
You're totally right. I don't have sympathy, but I'm fascinated by it.
Sure.
I'm fascinated by this human desire to give in. To just go, it's only 51%. We still got 49%, Mike. Well, I mean, we don't know what their plans are. Dude, they want us to be in the company.
Of course.
Okay, we have a strong relationship with this company. We've been here from the beginning.
We're going to be the ones.
And all of a sudden, they're just like fucking copying all their hard drives and moving all their shit over. And they're like, hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, what's happening over here, fellas?
I mean, and
they got the Gulfstream on order.
And there's surveillance things. Like I wouldn't, if I'm working with the Chinese, I wouldn't trust them not to get into my email and my phone and things like that.
Trust them? You should ensure.
Yeah.
You should be signing up for every gay porn newsletter there is. Just do it to yourself. Just do it to yourself before they do it to you. That's the move.
Lex, I'll just use the name Lex Friedman.
Just have a bot that goes on 8kun all day and downloads the ugliest memes.
What's it called?
That's 8chan's new website. They go 8kun, Kun. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Coon? Okay.
Yeah, but it's not that way. It's not like raccoon.
Okay, I got it.
Maybe I didn't think about it until right now.
Yeah.
When I just said that. Yeah. Well, whatever it is, it's their new version.
Okay.
Of 8chan, because 8chan got taken down.
Yeah. And didn't Hot Wheels steal it or something got stolen from him?
Well, he started it.
Yeah, it got stolen from him or something. Well, I know he denounced it later.
Yeah, he definitely denounced it, but I don't know what the business aspect of it was.
4chan's still up and running.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, I got Live Leak. We missed it. Got taken down.
Oh yeah,
like
Live Leak got closed.
When?
In May or something.
Yeah, they shut down.
Yeah.
Who shut them down?
They're like, it's not profitable anymore. Yeah. Oh. We can't make money off of
Should we
fights and
reopen
gore.
Live Leak?
Oh my God,
I feel like we should. Investors lost hundreds of billions in China in July. This is it. This is the article.
Wow.
So this is what's crazy about it. But if you just go to the Crystal and Sagar thing.
This is their video. This is just the screenshot of the article in their video.
Okay. Oh,
it's just him talking about it otherwise. Which I guess we could play that. But.
Well, it is. Well, this is what we should tell people. Go to Sagar and Jetty. Chinese heist of the century shows why U.S. elites are fools. And this is on what channel?
Breaking Points.
Breaking Points
channel, yeah.
They only have one channel, or do they have a Clips channel? Do they have two or just one?
I think just one right now. I don't know.
Anyway, Sagar's breakdown of it was fucking fantastic because he was explaining that you're not hearing about this on mainstream publications and the news and newspapers. He goes, "This is a really important story." And what was their product they made?
Semiconductors.
Semiconductors. That's what it is. I keep wanting to say like silicone chips because I'm old.
But I mean,
Back in the
do you
day.
not think that there is enormous background music, so to speak, in corporate media to kind of soft pedal things against China?
I think there is, but I'm not sure why. Do you think they do it to encourage relationships with like companies that are based in China or work with China? Like, what do you think is the motivation?
I don't know, but it just seems that there's a lot of bad things about China that we're not being told. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we're not being. And the fact that so many corporations are happy to bend the knee when it comes to adding access to those Chinese markets is very disturbing to see. Well, didn't they just some social media site agreed to, or Wikipedia agreed to block like the Quran and the Bible in there or something like that?
There's an application they had.
That's what it was.
It was Apple. Apple did this. There was an application that was based on the Quran. And they have a problem in China, and one of the problem. Well, there's a lot of problems, but one of the problems is the rest of the world has started paying attention to the Uyghur Muslims,
right,
and the plight of the Uyghurs in China, and how scary this is. That they seem to be, because of their religious beliefs, they seem to be isolated and taken to camps. Like, if this is true, this is a real problem.
Yeah,
and it's a real problem if Apple decides to give in and start banning these applications based on religious beliefs. Like, you're gonna ban it because the government doesn't want you to have an option to click on something that is about the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. That's a real that's censorship. Like, if you're willing to accept censorship, and I've heard this argument from someone that I am friends with that used to work with Google. They used to work at Google, and they were doing something with China, and they were really concerned because they were communicating with China. And this was the attitude: if we don't do this, China is just going to copy everything that Google does. They're going to steal Google, like steal all of the infrastructure. They're going to find a way into it, and they're going to make their own Google. So they're trying to work with Google. So, with China rather. But the only way to work with them is you got to follow their rules.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the slippery slope made incarnate.
Well, this is why Apple is in a precarious position, because if the world knows that you're willing to ban this one application that studies the Quran, what is the app?
I'm looking right now. It says that it's not the greatest website for like news, but it said that they're talking with someone and they're working to get it back up.
Okay.
I love when I get to a point where I'm like, I might be bullshit and
fake news.
What is that app?
See, Erin Burnett never asked herself that.
She doesn't have the chance.
She has the chance.
We've been doing this podcast for 3 hours and 40 minutes.
No,
that time's wrong. I was trying to fix it in the middle, but I want to fuck you up. Yeah, the power surgeon here fucked that clock up.
We've been doing this podcast for 2 hours and 20 minutes. I was like, man, my bladder's on point today, son. Something about being in the mountains. How dare you, Jamie, hit me with a fake time.
I just noticed it in the middle of it, and I thought
Bro,
fucking with the time was going to fuck you up even more.
That is so off.
You had one job.
You son of a bitch.
The one on the left is good.
That is so important. That
I noticed
time is
when
so important.
45 minutes ago, I literally started to fuck with it, but I stopped.
How do we got an app?
Oh, I have a controller for
We'll
it.
fix that shit now, so we don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, come on, Jamie.
I was like, I can't believe
That's what you were
Michael
in the
Mouse
middle,
and I
yeah.
have such chemistry.
See, in the middle of you talking,
Time
you didn't want
just
to see
flies
this.
by.
You're fucking.
But honestly, out of all the people that I know, like when all the CNN stuff was going down, I'm like, oh my God, where is Michael Mouse?
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, that's so not. You know, you texted me for your number, and I had to double check with Lex to make sure I wasn't being trolled.
Yeah, well, that's a good move. Yeah, no, when it was going down, I was like, I need like the most anarchistic person that I know. The person who's like burning it all to the ground. You can't fix it.
You can't fix it. That's true.
That's you.
That is me.
Yeah.
And it's not Dave Smith, that's for sure.
Dave Smith is he's in the argument.
And congrats on him and his new kid. So
he's a beautiful person.
Yeah,
I love Dave.
Yeah.
He's so goddamn smart.
But he's such a moderate compared to me.
But compared to you, he's a little moderate. But I mean, I don't think it's important to compare each other.
Well, I think it is because I'm better.
His perspective, His perspective is equally well thought out. It just differs.
Sure.
And it's important to know what that means. Like when someone's perspective is equally well thought out but differs. Like we are all in competition, whether it's physically or mentally or financially or status-wise, and sometimes we'll get caught up in ideas. And I think it's the best for everyone alive. It's best if we don't look at ideas as something that's a part of us.
Really?
Yeah. I think you got to look at ideas as a thing like a glass or a thing like a cup. Don't connect it to yourself.
Oh, wait.
You should acknowledge what it is. Like here's my perspective. This is a ceramic mug.
Yeah.
I know I've broken a bunch of mugs. I've dropped them accidentally. Sure. I know what it is. I understand the parameters of it. So I know what the fuck that is. This is what a mug is. What do you disagree with?
About the mug?
What do you disagree with what I said before that?
Well, I mean, when you were saying that you should make ideas part of yourself, I think ideas is about living your values. That's ideas.
Yes, your behavior is about that.
Yeah.
But ideas, meaning like when you look at something, whether it's a political idea or a medical idea or a cultural idea, that's not you. Whether it's the way to fix global warming or whether or not you should be able to smoke cigars, that's not you. These are just ideas. Like what you are is an entity interfacing with ideas.
Right.
You're not your ideas. So if your ideas are wrong, one of the things that people do that's so common is you argue for your idea as if it is you. Like you're connected completely to it to the point where you're willing to lie about whether or not the idea is accurate, even if you know it's not accurate. Like saying something is horse dewormer when you know it was prescribed for humans for years before it was prescribed for horses. That's well known when you're saying that. But what you're trying to do is just win. You're trying to win because that idea is connected to you.
But that's the wrong idea to have, that you should be trying to win.
Yes.
But there are ideas that are a part of you, which is such as do the next right thing, be kind.
Yes.
Be respectful when possible. If someone or something is in pain, to do what you can to mitigate that. These are ideas.
I think maybe you're right. And I think what I'm saying when I say ideas, maybe it's too broad of a word. And what I mean is perspectives.
Sure. Yeah. Right. That's true. Like if you're, there was a great Camus, who's one of my great heroes, Albert Camus. There was just
who's Albert Camus?
He wrote the Stranger, and he wrote The Rebel and The Myth of Sisyphus. And there was just this anecdote about how you're for this, what would happen as a consequence of this political system if like your mother went to jail. And he just made the comment, he goes, I like justice, but I love my mother. So like if you do have these kind of ideologies and push comes to shove, it makes you be a bad person to your people, to your friends, your family. It's the ideas that are wrong, and it's the relationships that matter much more. And this is another thing I really despise, and I block people about this all the time. Like some people came at me on Twitter asking me to like denounce Lex because he had something to do with the masks. I don't even know what it was. Like there's no
something to do with what?
The masks. I don't even really know what they were getting.
Lex Friedman?
I don't even know what they were talking about.
What did he have to do? He's saying that masks are a good idea?
I think he had to take part of some study. I don't even know what they were referring to. The point is, there's no circumstance where I'm going to be denouncing people I like publicly. If I had an issue with any of my friends, first of all, it's better persuasion to sit them down privately, be like, hey, what's going on here? Talk to me, educate me.
That's a really good point.
To call on people to call out your own publicly is really nasty.
It's also very transparent because you recognize why that person uses social media.
Right.
You're clout chasing, you're virtue signaling. It's really obvious. If you're saying it to people you don't even know,
right,
and you're not calling the person that you love, like some people have done that where they've denounced people publicly but never spoken to them privately.
Yeah.
It's like, that's crazy.
You're an asshole.
Well, you're an asshole, and you're also trapped in this ideology of wokeness that it's not applicable to friendships. Like you have to be able to call, you don't know where a person was coming from, what actually happened. You hear a story, and then all of a sudden you're taking the side of one over the other, and you're not even calling that person. You do public displays of any kind of opinions or feelings or outrage have to be examined very carefully, because there's the thing about deciding to do something publicly. You are broadcasting it in full awareness of your own personal image. There's something about that we don't say while a person is doing it, but we all kind of know, but we're willing to ignore it if enough people pile on and agree that this is a good message. So people will try to have these public displays of virtue where you know why they're doing it. This is a little fucking fake, man. But I'm going to, he's saying some good shit. All right, go for it. And then people develop careers based on that. Careers based on licking their finger, figuring out which way the wind's blowing, and then making some grand statements and maybe calling someone out. Oh, my God. Michael Malice called someone out. And that calling out shit, why are they doing it? Did they call the guy first? Did they call the woman first? Did they have a conversation first? Or did they just decide to make this big public virtuous event of them having an opinion that differs from that other person's opinion to clout chase?
Why would I want to be friends with someone who, when shit hits the fan, their first impulse is to publicly distance themselves from me?
Exactly.
What kind of person are you, and of what use are you? You're good, maybe I could chat with you at a party, but if things are going bad for me, I want someone who I could call up on the phone and be like, hey, shit's hitting the fan. Do you have my back? You don't have to have it publicly, but can you at least kind of give me some kind of comfort or succor? And they don't
100%. 100%.
And I think the thing is, all our industries are very insular. Everyone knows each other, is 1 degree away or 2 degrees away from everybody else. And this kind of shit might fly publicly, but privately people talk. And you're going to get a reputation as a snake. I don't really get anywhere near as much hate as I should because I stand by my people. I don't throw people under the bus.
You don't. You'll get more after this episode, but you don't deserve hate. You deserve. You're a rare little flower in the desert, Michael Malice. You're an unusual person.
I bought 70 succulents since I've moved here.
Why are you even buying cactuses? They have them. You can just go find them.
No, succulents. Not all. They're mostly not cactuses.
Oh, what kind of succulents you got other than cactuses?
God, they're all called God's mistakes because they're all like hideous and terrifying.
You're into ugly succulents?
Oh yeah. They're all on my
balcony. The beautiful thing about this place is that it fucking rains. Rains a lot. You know, I came from LA. It never rained.
Right.
Everything is green as fuck here. It makes you feel better.
There was this huge thing that hit this Austin on Thursday. The day before I was going to fly out, I flew out to Dallas. I had to bring them all into the house, and I'm like, maybe I'm overreacting. And then it was like the heavens opened up. I've never seen a downpour like this. It was like, holy shit.
Dude, I went to Miami once. I was doing a show in Florida, in West Palm Beach, and my friend Eddie had a jiu-jitsu seminar that he was doing at a jiu-jitsu school. So we had to drive from West Palm to Miami at like 1 o'clock on a Saturday, and the fucking sky opened up to a point where I literally couldn't see you. Like if I was in a car, I couldn't see 4 feet in front of the car. It was insanity. For like 10 minutes, the sky just poured and everyone stopped on the highway. You literally couldn't see when you were driving. I don't think people from California have any fucking idea what that's like.
Joe,
it's wild.
I don't know how to drive still, so I have to take an Uber to and from the gym. I'm at the gym and this the downpour happens, and I'm like, if I don't get an Uber now, literally I don't know what to do.
I want to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
I have a solution.
Okay.
Get a Tesla because they drive themselves.
Don't I have to get a license first?
Yeah, get a license first.
I'll get a license.
But once you get a license, you get a Tesla. You get a Tesla and you hit that double button, toot, and it just navigates itself.
Are you going to hook me up with Elon?
I can't give you a discount. Even Elon pays full price.
No, does he really?
Yes. Yeah, that's part of the deal. I bought mine. I didn't get a discount at all.
Okay.
It's worth it.
Okay. Oh, fine. I'll do it.
We need to juice up your podcast sales. 'Cause it's worth it. It's if you don't know how to drive a car, that's the best way because it drives itself, sort of. Like it doesn't totally drive itself.
No, I was
but
in
it's
one,
pretty
and it was pretty
close.
cool. Yeah,
it's pretty close. I have a video that I never released because I'm like, this is irresponsible. But it's me listening to Led Zeppelin, A Whole Lot of Love, and like moving my hands around the steering wheel, not really driving at all because we're on the PCH.
How much do they cost? They're not that much, right? The self-driving ones? Is it like 60 or something?
I think all of them are capable of self-driving.
Okay.
I think if you get right, is that correct? Is it 3?
No, I had an Uber that had
capable. Yeah, but you have to. It's like
you can pay for it, right? You got to pay. It's an option.
Yeah.
But I think the option is for development, right?
But also the full self-driving actual part is still in beta, and some cars have it, some don't.
Right.
I got an Uber once who, when he had it, he was showing me how it worked, and he said it's like an extra $10,000 or something crazy. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't that much.
It's sketchy. You know why it's sketchy? It's not sketchy
Because it's a
it
woman
doesn't
computer.
Work. It's sketchy because the idea of letting driving a car, like leaving it to the hands of the AI, is terrifying. You know.
I don't know. I don't. I mean, it's that AI is going to drive better than me.
Perhaps. What was that? The journalist that allegedly got killed by his Mercedes went off the road. Michael. You know what I'm talking about? He was the guy who he did that Rolling Stone article. He got embedded in Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know the story?
Yeah,
and then there was the volcano that erupted in Iceland, and he couldn't fly for a long time, so he stayed there. God damn it, what's his name? So he wrote this article for the Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
And in it, a lot of the general that he was hanging out with and a few of the other people there, Michael Hastings, thank you. He they got comfortable and they said some shit, and then he put it in. They thought he was their friend, and they were a little loose around him, you know. And he put some stuff in Rolling Stone that general, was it McChrystal? McChrystal actually had to resign because he had said something critical of Obama, and there was some sort of disagreement to the point where it was so significant that he had to resign. And so then Hastings was like, if I die, it's not because I killed myself. Like, let everybody know.
Wow.
And so Hastings died on Sunset Boulevard, going like 110 miles an hour into a tree, something crazy like that. But it was the whole circumstance of it was wild, because it's like they tested him afterwards and they found out that he had amphetamines in his system. But then you find out that most journalists, I don't say most, a significant number of journalists are on Adderall. Which is an amphetamine.
That's 100% true.
Significant number. And he was a very prolific journalist.
Yeah.
And a very successful journalist. And they had asked these people who understood technology and military applications whether or not it was possible at that time to pilot a car and drive it into it, to take control of a car. They said absolutely. Like that exists. Now we know it exists.
Right.
Like if you have a car today, like a modern car with electronics and an internet connection and all that jazz, like most cars do, it's 100% possible for some shenanigans to take place.
I had Jessica Tarlov on my show a couple of years ago. She's like a hardcore Clinton Democrat, great woman. I really get along with her, even though
Did you say she's a great groomman?
Great woman.
Oh,
even though I don't agree with her politically, I just think she's tough. And I was asking her, I'm like, look, every president has to make the choice about war. And they know when they're making that choice about war that they're going to kill a lot of American soldiers, and even if we pretend we don't care about lives of people in other countries. I said, if that person is in that mindset, why would you put it past them to kill one or two people who are in their way? If they're comfortable killing all these soldiers, why wouldn't they kill that one person who's threat to power, just psychologically? And she's like, yeah, like I agree with you. Now, it doesn't mean that every one of these things happened, but G. Gordon Liddy, who was one of Nixon's Watergate people.
He was on Fear Factor, by the way.
Is that true?
Yes.
Was he it's terrifying in person?
No, he wasn't terrifying in person. He was interesting. I had good conversations with him. I enjoyed talking to him. He's a fascinating guy because I knew a lot about him coming in. I knew that he would wouldn't he burn his skin and shit and look right in the eye?
When he was a kid, he tried to do that to conquer his fear. Like he would burn his hand and walk on brook and stuff like that. So,
he was in his 60s when he was on Fear Factor, and we hung him by his ankles and dunked him into the water with a bungee cord over and over again in his 60s. And he got through to the next round. He made it to the finals. And the only thing that fucked him up, the finals was a driving thing.
Okay.
And he can't see at night without his glasses on. He couldn't see where he was going.
Oh.
So it fucked him up. Like, honestly, G. Gordon Liddy, rest in peace, they cheated him out of a win on Fear Factor. If they just gave the motherfucker glasses and let him drive, that's me.
Look at that kid.
Oh, such a sweetie.
Look at that little baby.
So boy cute.
There's G. Gordon. Wow.
There's G. Gordon. So hung out with him, and he had to do this thing. But I enjoyed talking to him. You know, he was very respectful. We had an interesting conversation.
But in his autobiography, when he was facing all three branches of the federal government, he was talking to his contact in some part of the deep state. I don't remember who it was. And he says to them, look, if you've got to take me out, tell me what street corner to be on. I just don't want you to kill me in front of my family. And the guy says to him, we haven't gotten to that point yet. but there was no like claim that this is something that never happens. We try to assassinate people in other countries all the time. Trump just killed that general, in that Iranian general, and there were no consequences as a result of that. But this happens all the time. Why wouldn't it happen?
Well, it happens because it's convenient and it can be done and it's efficacious, right? It does work. But this is the problem.
Wait, and don't you think they're basically tried to kill Julian Assange? They're not doing it. They did in a sloppy way, but they're doing whatever they can to kill the guy.
They're doing something that doesn't seem right. It's like, what I need to know, like, what are you allowed to do based on what he did?
Right.
Like, what did he actually do? What he really did was expose things, like his actions
that were true. Were true,
and were criminal.
Yes.
Right, or at least negligible.
Yes.
Like the when they shot down on the journalist with the telephoto lens, they thought he had a gun.
Right.
They're looking at they had bad graphics or bad
optics. Yeah.
The real problem was there's like a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of things that were happening. As with the Edward Snowden thing, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. The things that aren't legal. Like, you're not supposed to be able to do that. Like, hold on. You're listening to everybody. You're reading all the emails. You don't even have a warrant.
Yeah.
Why are you allowed to do that? Because you want a popularity contest?
Right.
What the fuck are you doing? This is how we slide into dictatorships. And people are like, you're an asshole. You say this. Why do you... Like, there was a video that Samuel Rivera made, and people got mad at me because I reposted it. It was me talking about freedom, and it had a bunch of imagery of, like, Cuba, Nazi Germany, and the Soviet Union, and China, and, like, it's like talking about dictators. But these images, you show Hitler and you talk about freedom, and people go, "What are you saying?"
Joe, just this past summer, the U.S. government drone strikes a bunch of children and called them ISIS-K, because K stands for kindergarten in this context, apparently. And no one who did this had any consequences for it. They just
10 people
blew
died,
over.
and
they were kids.
Well, there was a bunch of kids. It was like 7 children, right?
And you're like,
adults.
well, oops doesn't cover it. I'm sorry.
And it's a complete mistake. It wasn't the right people to kill, and the idea that their lives aren't as important. Like, if that was done, like let's imagine that same drone strike was done, but it hit the Trump family, and it was Ivanka Trump and Jared Trump and Barron Trump and Melania, and they all got murdered by a drone. You'd be like, holy shit. Like, we're sorry, we thought they were terrorists. We made a mistake.
Or any random family, even.
Any random family.
If another country drone strikes some kids here,
but imagine it was a high-profile person.
Sure.
Imagine it was like, fucking pick a person. Tucker Carlson and his mom.
Sure.
Like they get drone struck. You'd be like, holy shit.
Yes.
And like, this is a mistake. Sorry, we made a mistake. Like, it would be chaotic. But if it happens way away from us, and it's a bunch of children, we're like, there's literally no register, right? Like, the register was like,
you know whose fault that is?
What?
The corporate press. Because they're interested in making sure that the narrative sticks. This is something that does not stick to the narrative, so they sweep it under the rug.
Right.
We have a day of outrage, and then everyone's like back to normal.
I don't even think they had a day of outrage.
If that, right.
Did CNN have a day of outrage about the bombings?
No, not CNN particularly.
But that's a really important story. Like, if that had happened, it was Trump, and Trump had killed a bunch of people accidentally, and 7 of them were children, that would be a giant story. That should be a story for everybody.
That's worse than the phone call he made that he got him impeached.
No, it's not.
Killing kids?
No, it's not.
I disagree.
I heard about they peed on each other.
What?
The Steele dossier.
What was that?
Wasn't it like peeing?
Wait, are you joking?
Yes.
Okay, but I mean,
for
that
sure.
wasn't what he was impeached
no,
over.
No, I'm joking around, for sure. Like, yeah, you're totally right. It's crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy that this is something that is even being discussed. It's like, we've lost our fucking minds.
We've never had them. I mean, this is something that's been going on for a very long time, and no one seems to... Because, we're taught in school that war is a last resort, but there's so many people for whom it's a first priority.
Well, and it's a financial priority.
Right.
There's so much money involved.
And it justifies the military budget.
We have to think about this when it comes to everything. When it comes to diet, when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to medical care. We have to think about money. Because money motivates people in spectacular ways.
I so disagree and think it's power, not money.
Well, I think it's both.
It's both, sure, but I think they get off more on the
power. First you get the money. No, first you get the power. Then you get the money. Then you get the pussy.
So you're saying,
right?
I don't think Biden's doing this for the pussy.
You don't know. That dumb motherfucker still thinks it's going to happen.
Wait, can we talk
He
about?
thinks they're gonna have some fucking pill with
Here's
their,
the-
I could just stay alive for 36 more months. And 36 months in, they hit him with a pill. There it is. Here, let me hear it.
Bitch.
What I thought,
Lesbian.
Lesbian.
this country, you gotta make the money first.
Oh, it's money.
Then when you get the money, you get the power. Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
The power comes
what?
after.
But we're misogynists. We said pussy,
I
and
think
he said
says it a
woman.
different way later, or everyone else took it
You
a
got the
different way.
fucking no. You got the censored version on YouTube. He definitely said pussy.
Oh, really? In the original?
Yes, you got the bullshit version. Then you get the woman. It's the pussy.
It says it
This
here,
is it.
too. It's gonna say the same thing,
Different video.
but it's in the title.
By this time.
It's longer too. And it's
Okay.
quiet. Yeah.
Oh, it's let it go a little bit.
No, it's not. It's good and it's quiet.
It's too quiet. Okay, so apparently he says it more than once.
Yeah, it says it given here.
I mean, if you Google movie quotes, it'll probably tell you what.
know.
Yeah.
First you get the money.
Yeah. Urban Dictionary says women.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like the Berenstain Bears.
Oh, yeah, or Play It Again, Sam.
What's that? That
And-
doesn't happen?
No, that's why Woody Allen called the movie "Play It Again, Sam."
What?
He never says it.
What?
Yeah, you didn't. You joke. You know that, right?
No, I used to do stand up at Play It Again Sam's.
Yeah, no.
I did stand up at Play It Again Sam's in Boston. It was one of the first times I ever saw comedy.
Yeah.
Like I thought he said it.
Nope.
Who says it?
No one says it. It's not in the movie. Double check, Jamie.
What?
I could be talking to my
Again,
ass.
Say it. Repeat though. Or what am I? The quote.
Play It Again, Sam.
From Casablanca.
Yeah, I think that's one of those false memories, like Mandela being in jail. Yeah.
Wait a minute, Mandela was never in jail?
No, people think he died in jail. Some people.
Play it again, Sam. Let's play it.
Then what am I
Trying to
thinking
find
of?
the shortest one.
Play it.
Does anyone say play it?
Oh,
again,
yeah,
Sam?
that's okay. There's a movie about it.
Yeah. Here we go.
I'll do that one.
Play that one. Might not be. You might be right. Humphrey Bogart. Old school. One of the first watches ever.
Boss? Boss?
Yeah?
Boss, ain't you going to bed?
Not right now.
Ain't you planning on going to bed in the near future?
No.
You ever going to bed?
No.
You used to be a much better liar, Sam.
Leave him alone, Miss Elsa.
Was that
You bad
Sam?
luck
Okay.
to him.
Yeah, that's Sam. You're bad luck
Play
to
it once, Sam.
Yeah.
For all time's sake.
I don't
That's
know
the
what you mean,
closest,
Miss
yeah.
Elsa.
Hold on. Keep it going.
Play it, Sam. Play as time goes by.
Oh, I can't remember it, Miss Elsa. I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll
That's some
hum
bad
it for
acting.
you. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
She's not bad.
No matter what the future brings as time
Okay.
goes
So she never really says it.
Or we're in the alternate timeline. Where it was said.
Let's imagine this. 1952.
42.
Is that 42?
Yeah.
That's 42?
That's old. Oh, I thought it was later too. I would think
I thought it was
45,
in the
46.
50s.
Nope.
No,
42 is crazy. That's pre-World War II.
that's during World War II.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, pre the end of World War II.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, they were like making it.
42 is crazy. That's so long ago. Okay. That's 80 years ago.
Yeah, we're old.
But that's
That's
80,
when Biden was in high school.
They had watches 80 years ago.
They watched us for a long
I
time.
know. I'm joking around.
Well,
like
so
wristwatches.
but
But
there is
like,
that Woody. So you guys, we guys talking about the Woody Allen movie.
Yeah.
So it's made off a false premise. Was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
that would if there was a time if I could only travel back to a particular time in U.S. history, I would be real. I would have two dilemmas. The first dilemma would be I want to be in 1776. I want to see like the early days, the chaos.
Yeah.
Like what is it like to ride around on a donkey and like worry that the British are coming? And then
A donkey?
yeah,
What donkey?
mules.
They're riding around on mules?
They had a lot of mules back then.
But they were riding them?
Mules are a better animal to ride in inclement weather, in rugged terrain.
Okay, but they were riding them though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a big thing in the South.
Okay, in the South, gotcha.
Mules are more dependable to not take precarious paths.
Okay.
Like you can talk a horse into jumping off a cliff.
Okay.
Just keep riding it. A mule will like fuck you.
Okay, got it.
So mules are like smarter about movement on rugged terrain, and they last longer. They need less. A friend of mine, Clay Newcomb, he's been on this podcast before. He actually raises mules.
Oh, that's cool.
He's got a podcast called Bear Grease.
Why is it called Bear Grease?
Because it's about like the commodity of bear fat in the early days. It was a huge it was a huge trading thing. Like bear fat was very valuable, and bears were very valuable during the pioneer days. Like during those days where the settlers were making their way west.
Yeah.
In Arkansas, in particular, where he's from, bears were more important than deer, more important than any other game animal. They all ate bears.
I'm into wet shaving, and I was going to get some shaving soap made with bear tallow, and she couldn't get the tallow because it was hard to find now. So this is still a thing.
Well, the thing is, you can't sell it commercially because
Okay.
black bears can't be like we're real weird when it comes to animals.
Yeah.
Like some animals we're allowed you to domesticate. Like you can domesticate a cow because
Sure.
there's no real wild examples of bovines like those kind of cows in America.
Right.
There are in some, like Hawaii has a little bit of it, so you could say one part of America, and Australia has it. They're called scrub bulls, and what a scrub bull is a wild domestic cow that has morphed and become much more aggressive and super dangerous.
Like the dingo.
Isn't
the dingo degeneration of domesticated dogs?
It's like, no. All dogs come from wolves.
No, but dingoes came from domesticated dogs.
If a dingo comes from a domesticated dog, it's going backwards, right? It's
Right.
like going more. That might be the case. But for sure, a dingo came originally from a wolf.
Sure, but it skipped. Right, it went back to being a wolf. It's like a boomerang.
But wait a minute. Here's the thing. Like that's all. Did they originate in Australia?
I think, Jamie, can you look this up? I thought they were like dogs that went feral and kind of all bred each other, but I could be completely wrong.
No, I think you're right because that makes more sense.
I know they don't bark.
But that way they probably wouldn't have ever, like if it's like 1,000-year-old thing, like maybe they never encountered wolves.
Right.
Like maybe they came from this line that went from wolves to dogs.
Right,
and
that's why they're not
dogs to
scared of people.
Australia, and then dogs who go wild.
And that's why they're not really scared of people.
That makes sense.
It's my understanding.
Dingo ate my baby.
But this is why I'm saying it's my
Watched that
understanding.
episode last night.
Did you?
It's a movie, right?
Steinfeld. Well, I don't know where she got it from, I guess.
Oh, it's from the Meryl Streep movies.
Yeah, is it? Oh, yeah, I just got it
yeah.
from Seinfeld. That's the only place
Oh,
I ever know
really?
it from.
Yeah, it's
like when you hear a cover song and think it's the original because you heard the cover first.
It was a Meryl Streep movie about a woman in Australia who I think they accused of murdering her kid.
And she said, the dingo ate my baby.
Yeah. And everybody's like, wait, what? You know,
Yeah.
that's so.
Wait, so
Yeah.
is the dingo degeneration of the
what is it?
domesticated
Well,
dog?
I was digging through an article on the mitochondria DNA research on that, and like maybe East Asia, I think, is where it came from, but I couldn't get back to
See if you
the
can find
dog
that.
part of it. Yeah.
See, people need to fund this thing.
Fund what thing? The dingo?
It's a conundrum where the dingo came from. Australia's a wild place, man. It's so rugged and they're so individualistic.
No,
and
they're
so
not
hold on.
anymore.
I was like, get to that.
Oh, sorry. I'll shut up.
Cockblocker. I was like, but they're the people that have fallen into the most preposterous police state in the Western world. Like, out of all the countries that have hit like the worst possible scenario in terms of like how do you respond to the pandemic, you have the smallest number of people that have been killed with corona, right? Like people blame this Colin Powell thing on COVID, but the reality is he was in poor health and very old.
The headline said after complications with COVID, not due to complications
He's
with
also
COVID,
in his 80s, which is above the average age that people die. We have an expiration date, ladies and gentlemen, right? So
especially Keith Olbermann.
We let him off the hook.
I'm never going to let him off the hook.
We were doing good.
Oh, no. You don't let them off the hook once they're on the hook. You got
What do
to
you
twist.
do?
You got to twist that knife. You got to get them begging for mercy.
What's your goal? What's your ultimate goal with this Keith Olbermann thing? What do you hope to accomplish from this?
Oh, Keith, I don't have an ultimate goal with him, but it's just fun for the lulls. That's the goal for anything.
For the lulls.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got this is about. I probably think the best I'll get is this first paragraph here. Maybe, which is
when whole genome sequencing indicates that while dogs are genetically divergent subspecies of the gray wolf, the dog is not a descendant of the extant gray wolf. Rather, They are sister taxa which share
Got
a
it.
common ancestor from a ghost population of wolves that disappeared at the end of the late Pleistocene. Oh my God, I sense a movie.
The dog and the dingo are not separate species.
They're
Okay,
not
yeah.
separate species. The dingo and the Basenji.
Basenji. It's a breed.
Oh, okay. And Basil, members of the domestic dog clade. Okay, so you're right.
Yeah.
So it seems like the dingo were probably, there's a problem with that in parts of rural Georgia. Yeah, I believe someone got killed. I think it was a woman, got killed by domestic dogs that are wild in Georgia recently and torn apart. It's horrible. There's like packs of dogs that are acting like predators. They're looking for meat.
Tom Shalhoub, who I think he's still on Fox, I don't remember. Like he had a book, and I read his book, and he talked about how when he was a kid in Boston, like in the 50s or 60s, there would be packs of dogs that would maul kids on their bikes.
Oh my God.
And I'd be like, wait, and he's just like, yeah, that's what it was. I'm like, how is this normal that you're on a bike and these dogs just attack you? And he just basically played it off. And I'm like, I still can't wrap my head around are they killing the kids? Are they dismembering them? He's like, no, they attack you and then you kind of chase them off. And I'm like, you seem to be pretty blasé about something that seems to be very, very disturbing.
Dude, people get blasé about what's around them all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
When people are used to, that's the fucked up thing about people is how quickly they accept whatever the circumstances are. And this is one of the things about COVID that we've realized is how quick it is for people to change the way they think and change their behavior. I mean, there's certain
we have no.
Oh, so sorry.
Well, that's why
show us what we got.
We're so adaptive.
Oh, this was I was waiting for another opening. Did you hear the story of the woman in Huntsville that was found in a van for 2 weeks?
What?
They found a body in a van. It was there for 2 weeks, and no one was like, "How did they get there?" And it was in a police lot. They were looking for her, and they're like, "Oh, it turns out she's in the back of this van that's just been sitting here."
Oh my God!
I just saw this while I was on the plane. I was digging through it. I didn't hear a lot of information about it. They just released a video of showing her getting into the van, which.
Oh my God!
Oh, in a police van.
Yeah,
holy crap! I misunderstood. I thought it was like her own
sorry,
van.
no,
yeah.
Wait a minute. They put her in the police van. They forgot her.
They
in there?
don't know how she got in there herself. They're saying.
Oh my God, she entered into it and then she couldn't get out because there's no handles on the inside.
And then it was 88 degrees for 2 weeks or something like that.
Oh my
Wait,
God. So she climbed in a police van and
without
died in there?
without her phone?
That's part of the questioning is like.
Without her phone? How do you know she has a
why
phone?
did she get in there?
She's a woman.
Why was she in the van? How did no one check on her?
Why would you climb into any van?
That again, this is a story of she was
What
missing.
if you wanted to go to the mall?
And people were bringing it up as the comparison to the Gabby Petito situation, where big stories for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks now, and this has been happening and no one has heard.
Well, this reminds me more of that lady with the hotel in L.A. Remember that with the thing with the elevator and they found it? Yeah.
There's a documentary on Netflix about that.
Well, the other thing about this is the police have said stuff that her family is like, that doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean? What'd they say?
The
police might have forgot about her.
I'm reading this off of Instagram.
They might not have, by the way.
Too.
I don't want to get sued, Michael Malice.
Yeah, I mean, this is CNN, so you got to take it with a
I
grain
just
of
was
salt.
clicking the first thing I saw about it.
What does it say? The police face questions?
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know how it got in there. How they didn't find her in the back of the parking lot for 2 weeks.
But if you don't use a certain van for 2 weeks, that's terrifying. Here's the thing, I don't know how those things work, but if the lock works on the outside, but it doesn't, there's no handles on the inside because you got prisoners.
Sure.
You could easily open that up and go, I'm going to take a nap in here. If you're a homeless person, you could go.
She's not. Yeah, I get it, but
maybe she's homeless.
Wait, if you're it's going to be hotter in the van than outside the van.
Correct.
What if it's outside?
During the
It's
news
nighttime?
conference, they said
Mosquitoes and shit.
She's walking around the parking lot. She lays down in the bushes at some point. She sits on the hood of a police car for some time.
All
Other
this
cars
happens
approach.
about 10 minutes before she enters the van. Yeah, she was tripping balls. What she's saying is all like someone who's drunk or high.
Yeah.
And she probably climbed into the vehicle and died because of the heat. Oh my God. Because the vehicle, look at how they write this. Because the vehicle was designed for inmate transport. Once the back doors are closed, there's no way to open them from the inside. How terrifying is that? To be tripping balls and you just realize hey, how do I get out of here? Bang, bang, bang.
Joe,
Hey, bang,
hey.
bang, bang. Hey! And all of a sudden it's 75. You're like, oh my God, I have to drink my own urine.
Okay.
So then you're trying to figure out, Michael Malice, trying to figure out how to stay alive,
Joe?
tripping balls.
Joe?
You were hanging out with Bert Kreischer.
Joe.
And he got you hammered, and he climbed into a police car. You're like, fuck the police, and you took a nap.
Joe, if I'm tripping balls, why am I going to where the cops are?
Because you're so high, you don't know what you're doing.
That's-
Have you ever tripped balls?
I've never been that high.
How high
that
have
I'm
you
going
been?
towards the fucking cops.
That's
Here's
when you know you got
here's
the
where
good
the
shit.
questions come in.
What does it say?
This is like when you said why the police have questions to answer. I
Okay.
guess.
The hunt. Where does it say? Which part? Which part?
Initially delayed, giving the family the incorrect date for the last time they saw her.
Oh boy, McCarver said
She's a
police.
snitch.
They
Oh,
knew
they may
her.
have killed
Oh,
her.
there she was.
Oh, she's a snitch.
They knew her pretty well.
They worked with her to provide resources. Oh, wait, maybe they meant they were giving her resources like she was poor.
They work with her to. Oh my God, they might have said, "Listen, bitch, if you don't tell us what the fuck to do, we're gonna."
No,
but they have videos of her.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So you know that didn't happen.
yeah.
All right, I'm painting a fake scenario.
Yeah.
This is how rumors get started.
This is how you write an episode of CSI.
Yes.
No, so they've worked with her in the past to provide resources. That means they were helping her. That
Oh,
she was
look
a
at
snitch.
this. The video was not clear enough to indicate that that was our sister,
Correct.
Christina Nance.
That's what people were sort of saying is like, because they said they had a video and everyone's like, well, I guess it's going to be grainy enough that we can't see her face. We won't even know who it is getting in there because they could have just made a fake video to say this is what happened to help
God,
their.
there's so many problems.
I
being a
guess you guys
person.
not heard about the story.
There's
so
That's
many-
what my-
there's- No, I hadn't. I definitely hadn't.
That makes me very sad.
It is sad.
It's,
To die
especially-
like that is horrific.
Just and in earshot of like everyone else. That's
Yeah.
really kind of and banging on those doors. Jesus, that's awful. I feel bad for her and her family. Her family.
Yeah, that's not a good way to go. Have you ever been
How do you want to go?
hot and no water? Fucking.
Like Nelson Rockefeller. Like Nelson Rockefeller.
I have a bit about it. I don't know. I probably want to asteroid hit me right in the face. Like I don't want to be knocked back into the Stone Age. If one of those Pleistocene type, one of them Yucatan craters.
Yeah.
One of
Just
them
when we
asteroids
vaporized?
comes right in the face. Just hit me with this 6 mile wide chunk of steel from space or iron from space. Hit me right in the face. Boom. Let's see what's next. I don't want to eat people. I don't want to be a cannibal.
I don't wanna be a cannibal either.
I don't want to do like Stalin style Soviet Union.
What's that-
Eat
wait.
your babies.
Wait, what's that have to do with anything? What do you mean?
Lex was telling me that there was periods of time during Stalin's reign where people who were starving to death ate their children.
He must be referring to either the siege of Leningrad or the Holodomor when they starved I talk about that in my forthcoming book.
Yeah.
And they knew you were holding food if you weren't starving.
Here's the thing, Michael. I don't think humans are that much different than humans back then.
Of course we're not. That's the whole paleo idea.
Yeah, and I think that if you looked at like what it is, like if you could take what a human is, what entails being a human being, and you could narrow it down to a specific group of elements and ingredients, we are the same thing, exactly the same thing. So it's possible with the wrong set of circumstances, the wrong events, the wrong humans in charge to get to a point where people are so fucked that they're eating their kids.
Oh, yeah.
If that could happen 100 years ago, it can happen 100 years from now. We're the same thing. It takes thousands of years for us to change what it means to be a person, and we haven't really changed that much.
In the late 1800s, early 1900s, the talking point was we're never going to have war again.
Yeah.
Because now we're civilized and we have technology and we figured it out. And then came the Great War. And as a result of that, they had to invent plastic surgery because it was the first time you had human beings meeting metal machines of war and coming back all disfigured and completely deformed.
And medical science increased to the
Yes.
point where you keep those people alive.
Right.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I lived in San Francisco.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Can you pull up the first guy who had plastic surgery? Like, if you look at,
I've
you've seen
it.
that picture.
Yeah.
It's just.
I got to pee. Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's pee.
Yeah, let's
Well,
do it.
pee will come back. Michael Malice, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greats. So how was your pee? Did you enjoy it?
I didn't pee.
You didn't? You had to take a shit?
I didn't. I was sitting here the whole time.
You didn't leave at all?
No.
Oh, they told me you did. It was
They
Jamie.
lied. Jamie's a liar.
It was confusion. There was confusion outside in the hallway.
Jamie's short for CNN.
Whoa, relax. I ran out there to pee. They didn't know who it was.
Can't CNN be saved, Michael Malice?
No.
No?
I don't think the corporate press can or should be saved. I think the amount of blood these people have on their hands is unforgivable.
Do you think that the mantle should be handed over in terms of viewership, in terms of what we ingest in terms of media, should be handed over to these independent places? Things like Breaking Points.
I don't think "should" is the word I would use, but I think that
will be.
This is why I'm so hopeful for this country. I think it's inevitable. Look at when you and I were kids. There was Sam Goody and Coconuts and The Wiz, and those are the record stores, and you can only get a certain amount of records. And now those stores don't exist, and there's more music than ever. And you get it at the press of a button and for virtually nothing. So I think there's no reason for news to be as commodified and to be as centralized as it is.
I saw somebody say something. What?
I'll say that's not good though. That music's available for virtually nothing though.
That's great. You want
to the consumer, but not for the artist.
There's plenty of artists who are making it happen. Look, for example, my books. You can bootleg them, and I'm not seeing a cent. But there's enough people who are paying that enables me to have that be my income. My book, The Anarchist Handbook, which I dropped in May, was the top nonfiction book on Amazon for a few hours, and I didn't go through a publisher. This is a new means of publishing, and I'm very, very excited about what that means for the future.
It is really interesting that there's not a gatekeeper anymore.
Right.
That all you have to do is have something that resonates with people.
Right.
Yeah. You know, the Hunter-Gatherer's Guide, the Brett Weinstein and Heather Heying book, Hunter-Gatherer's Guide to the 21st Century, is... it shot through the fucking roof on Amazon immediately. And it was just because of the love that people have for them and their honest opinions.
When you're an independent person making it happen, people are desperate. It's like tipping your waiter. You really want to show your support and buy their product. And I've been the recipient of that, and I'm very grateful for that to be the case.
That's all I do. That's my whole world.
Yeah.
My whole world is putting out the best version of whatever the fuck I put out I can. You're not going to no one is going to like everything.
But that's what being authentic means.
Being
when you love someone, like a friend or a partner, you're going to be like, all right, they do this, that's annoying, or I hate this quality about them. But you accept them in their totality because that's them being them, as opposed to some corporate nonsense where you pretend that you're perfect and everything's, flawless. That's bullshit. Human beings are far more complex than that.
Yeah.
No network is flawless and no vaccine is flawless.
Isn't it crazy that saying that is that's controversial? What you said logically, if you want to look at all the data points, you'd be like, makes sense. I see where he drew his conclusion.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a part of the cool kids club and you want to go to the Emmys,
but God, the idea that they're the cool kids. While they stood up and applauded while Harvey Weinstein's exposing himself to half the women in Hollywood.
I think what we have to do is make a new cool kids club.
But don't you think that's what's happening now?
I think it is, but I think we have to maybe do it consciously. Well, we have to do it based on some very clearly established ethics, and one of them is just like be nice. Be nice.
Not nice, kind.
Be kind is good.
Yeah.
Be kind. Be kind is good. That's a good way to say it. Be kind. Be honest. These are really, if you just get past be kind and be honest, if we can get everybody to do the 4 agreements.
What are the 4 agreements?
Do you know that Don Miguel Ruiz wrote a book called The 4 Agreements? It's really beautiful. And if you get the audio version, it's really easy to digest because it's read by Peter Coyote, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 1, be impeccable with your word. This is the idea. These are the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. There's no reason to say something you don't really believe. If you think that it serves you, this is my interpretation, but if you think that it serves you to be a liar and to be disingenuous, ultimately, based on my own experience, it doesn't serve you. Because any victory you gain through deception, you lose points in how you feel about yourself.
It's also very hard to sustain a lie because at some point because a lie by definition is going against reality, and at some point reality is going to catch up with you.
It also keeps you from really connecting with people.
Yes, yeah.
They need to know that you're telling the truth. Because I don't, the
or your best version of it.
Yes, the people that I value the most are the people that with humility and self-deprecation and honesty, and they can look at themselves for what the fuck they really are. So here's another one. Don't take anything personally. If there's anything out of this book that's helped helped me more than anything. It's don't take things personally. Because if people say mean shit about you, people immediately want to lash out. They immediately want to attack. They immediately want to like make it their goal to destroy that person. It's a waste of energy. Like if you want to discuss it publicly, like we just did on this podcast,
Sure.
like even there's maybe an argument against that, but taking it personally is fucking dangerous.
But come on,
it's not good.
You can't
for
take
you.
anything personally. There's lots of things you take personally.
I just don't think it's good for you. I don't think it's good for you. I don't think it benefits you. I think maintaining, I want to call it a Zen mind state, but what I mean is
the Serenity Prayer.
There's a mind state that you can achieve where you're less troubled by things that you have no control over, and I think that is probably better for everybody.
Yeah, like some people ask me how I deal with like all the garbage on social media, and I'm like, look, I'm from New York, right? If you're in New York and someone gets up to you in the subway and starts cursing you and calling you stupid and all these other things, you're not going to take their comments under advisement. Your only thought is, how do I get away from this person as fast as possible? So that is a similar mind. If there's a stranger who's berating you on Twitter or Facebook, it's fine. You don't have to. But there's lots of things I take personally. If I value someone's opinion, if they're close, have an intimate relationship with them, and they say bad things about me, yeah, it's going to hurt.
Right, but this is the perspective. When that person does that, recognize that, well, this person I now know is capable of doing something that's very weak.
But what if they're doing it and they're right? What if they're pointing out a flaw of mine that is actually accurate? That
That's not personal. Then you should be thankful.
I am thankful, but I'm still taking it. I see what you mean. Okay,
but that's not taking it personal. Like, hey, why the fuck say about me?
Well, if they're saying if that number 2 is don't be defensive, that's the best advice you can give.
I think that's essentially what they're saying, but it's a little more complicated and nuanced. If you say don't take things personally, it's kind of open for interpretation.
Okay,
but for me, I mean, it's like how I view it. It's helped me a lot to not create additional conflict. If you think about when you're doing a show, let's just say you put a podcast out and it reaches 1,000 people.
Sure.
Out of those 1,000, you're going to have 30 people that hate it.
Sure.
Maybe 100.
Sure.
Who knows? Maybe it's 1 out of 10. Those people might tweet about it. You might read that tweet and decide that everybody hates it.
No, that's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
But you might decide, because you're defensive, that you read someone's interpretation of what you said and they get angry. My point is that there's a lesson to be learned about human beings interacting online that hasn't really existed before this era that we're living in right now with the internet. And when I say don't take anything personally, listening to what he's saying, I think we're dealing with a whole new level of that. And if you could just say, people just talk, like if you say something crazy or whatever you do, if I talk to you, I won't take anything personally unless I can look you in the eye and have a conversation with you, and not just a short one. If we have a disagreement, I want to know what you think and why you think it, and I want you to be able to listen to what I think and why I think it in a way that's going to be the most digestible. So I'm going to say it in the most nice way possible. That's my goal. So when I say don't take anything personally, don't make it harder. It's hard enough to be a finite lifespan, life form, a finite life form on a planet that's hurling through infinity.
And a lot of times it's not really about you, it's about their dad or about someone who broke up with them in high school.
About everything.
If it's hysterical, it's historical.
Yeah, it's about genetics, you know? Yeah. It's about fucking geography. It's about economics. There's a million different factors.
But I think the other thing young creators don't appreciate is make sure if you're creating a product, whether it's a book, podcast, whatever, that you're doing it for yourself. If you're comfortable, if you enjoy it and it doesn't resonate with the audience, doesn't mean that it's the wrong thing. Like a lot of times I'll do things that people find stupid, but I'm having fun.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
If I'm having fun, then it's easy for me to produce.
For sure. I mean, that's the whole history of this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just two guys hanging out, having conversation.
So here's the other one. Don't make assumptions. That's another good one. Don't make assumptions. Be aware of all of the possibilities. It's not like to be ignorant or to be unrealistic about negative outcomes, but don't make assumptions. Just don't walk into things already at 7, all revved up.
Yeah. Because you could go up to 7.
Right.
But it's a lot easier to go to 7 than go from 7 to 1.
Absolutely. And then the best one, always do your best. Now, unconsciously, I had been working on 2 of those. I had been working on be impeccable with your word, and I had been working on always do your best. It's just naturally. Just realizing from trial and error in my life, where do I get over best? I get over best when I'm always honest and I be impeccable with what I say, and I'm not always accurate with it. I fuck it up and I feel bad about it. But my thought is like, say what you mean and mean what you say. That's be impeccable with your word. And always do your best. Always do your best has been my easiest one, because it doesn't necessarily come with social consequences if you can just try your best. And like, especially like in competition, when you get 2 sprinters talking shit to each other on the starting blocks, like there's a part of always doing your best is also talking shit to each other.
Sure.
Trying to make that person feel bad before you fucking launch yourself.
Here's another way that correlates to always do your best. If you're asking for someone for a favor, make it as easy for them to say yes as possible.
Right. Do your best at it.
And do your best to take as much on your shoulders as you can.
Yes.
So they have to do the least effort on their part. Like I've had people be like, hey, can you look over this essay for me? Well, it still needs a little work. No. Send it to me when you've got it as good as you can get it.
Right.
So that's when you need my help, because my time is important and you should treat it accordingly, and vice versa.
There's some people with some decent ideas that think that the way to get through is to have someone grab your hand and pull you up the mountain.
Right.
And that's not always true.
No.
Like there's levels of ideas. You might have a number 2 idea and you think it's a 4 idea.
Right.
You know, you might have a 4, you think it's a 6.
Right.
And this is part of the problem with being a person. So we overestimate what we are based on the amount of input that we get. And if we only get input from a very small group of people, and those people are all scared and anxious and clueless, we're fucked.
Yes. And when you're young, you're going to ask your dumb little friends for advice, and they don't want to seem stupid, so they'll give you what they know, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about either.
Exactly.
So ask someone who's made it happen if you can get a hold of them.
And even when you get to them, you got to catch them at the right time.
Yeah.
You don't want to catch them when they're dying. Because when they get older, they start panicking and they start fucking bullshitting themselves.
And
they want to bullshit you.
And they stand on the balcony above Central Park spewing spit and yelling about people being afraid.
Afraid! Oh, this is the other meme that I wanted to show you.
Let's see this.
This is my new favorite meme. Hold, please. Hold, please. Here it is. Jamie. Come on, Jamie. There it goes. I sent it to you. Ready? This is the best meme of, what's today's date? October 18, 2021. This is the best meme.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Oh, yeah.
It's Biden making this mean face next to this old man from, what is that from?
Jeff something?
Jeff Foxworthy?
No, it's not Jeff Fox. It's a comedian. He does a bunch of those characters.
Oh, Dunham.
Jeff Dunham, yeah.
Yeah. Why did I say Jeff Foxworthy? We should end this podcast. I'm drunk. I had to get a little buzzed. I had a few drinks.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm dealing with all this nonsense, and I don't like it.
Really? Is it getting to you?
No.
Then what? Are you just, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth?
I don't like it. I don't like that this is this kind of fake talk is acceptable. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It makes me upset because it's 2021. And I think that shit is nonsense. I think they're blowing smoke signals. I think they're sending fucking Morse code. It's not good for anybody. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to tell the truth and make some money? This is not the way to do it. But what you're doing is some legacy bullshit that's based on principles that are only valid when the whole world didn't have YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
This is why we're going to win, because they're living in an outdated model, and these are not impressive people that we're up against.
This is why it's so confusing. When a fucking cage fighting commentator and a dirty comedian who started a podcast to talk shit while getting high with his friends.
Yeah.
If that becomes a problem.
Right.
Why is that resonating with people?
How can you be hopeless about America when this is the case?
This is what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these people that talk, like, when was the last time you heard any of those people say cunt?
Oh.
Why don't they say that? That's a real word. There's times.
You just got that's the clip they're going to pull. This is the level of discourse on the Joe Rogan Experience.
That's exactly the level of discourse. It varies wildly. Widely and wildly. But why don't you talk like a person that I know?
Do you know that back in the day in comic books, and this is germane, they weren't allowed to have characters named Clint because in comic books, when the letters are all written out in capitals, it looks like cunt. So they just you see what I'm saying? So they just put together a clip show for my YouTube called Malice Clips, but we're going to call it Malice Cups because it just looks fucking like that.
Well, they made Bruce Banner from the comic books, David Banner, on a TV show, because Bruce is a gay name.
Yeah. Bruce and Lance and Julian.
How crazy is that?
But isn't that?
But Bruce is the ultimate gay
But
name.
I love the idea that like somehow you're going to name your son Bruce, and all of a sudden he's just going to be attracted to dudes.
Can we pull up data on how many Karens were named this year?
Oh, it's probably zero.
It's probably zero.
I've been going after this Karen on Twitter. It's been really funny. She's been having her ass handed to her.
Is her name really Karen?
No, it's Ruth Marcus. She's this.
What did she do?
She had this thing about like she was on an elevator. She asked the guy to take off his mask, please, and he's like, basically, go fuck yourself. And she goes, well, that's the state of America today, and everyone just piled on her hard. And she's been doubling down this morning. She goes, well, in honor of Colin Powell, let me explain why masks in the elevators are a good idea. It's like, bitch, this ain't about Colin Powell.
How sweet is that move, though? Attaching yourself to Colin Powell.
Oh, only 3. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Karen was the third most popular name for girls in 1965, meaning there were almost 33,000 newborn Karens that year.
Do you know what 2 names?
Last year, there were 325 baby girls named Karen, which is fewer than the 439 who were given the name in 2019. So there's people hanging in there.
Do you know
325 with Karen?
The first name that fell off the fastest was Adolf. Okay,
Oh
obviously.
My God. How about that mustache?
But
Where'd that go?
The guy from Sparks still has it.
Who?
Sparks. They're this band that's been around since the 70s. It's 2 brothers.
He's got a Hitler?
Oh, yeah, German mustache.
The Hitler's only good above the snatch.
That's right, yeah.
For a small amount of time. But above the pussy, you don't mind at all. There's no one who's
Sparks.
getting mad about...
They're a great band.
Okay. Yeah, seems more like a Charlie Chaplin to me, but I'll let it go.
Well, they wouldn't let him play in Germany, I think, at one point, or in Austria or something like that.
Because of the mustache.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Hitler. Yeah, no, that's a Hitler.
And they're really quirky. Look at them with marrying each other. If you look at the top row, you see it right there. Yeah. So they're a very funny, quirky band. They're 2 brothers.
Wow. He's hanging in there with the Hitler.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let him into Germany. You got the wrong
that's
mustache.
hilarious. But the second name that fell off the fastest was Hillary.
Oh,
Adolf and then Hillary.
That's got to be 0.
But now I think it's come back. People like her again. But for a while there, she was really, really, really
They
hated.
need to watch videos.
Yeah. And to watch their back. Yeah.
Anything else? Should we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Let's do it.
Let's do it on a high note. My friend, glad to have you in Austin, Texas.
Thank you, fellow Texan.
Thank you. Thanks for being here when the world has gone topsy-turvy, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Malice, for all the hot takes. Follow him on Twitter. Talk shit if you dare. Anything else?
Anarchisthandbook.com.
Yeah. Go there. And what was the other? You have another funny website? What's the other one that we talked about earlier?
Which
that you
one?
own?
Oh, fucktards. I just I just forwarded it to the Twitter page, fucktards.org.
Fucktards.org. Good night, world.